GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Could today be the Prime Minister's last day in office?
A matter of hours until Sir Keir Starmer will fight for his political life in the Commons.
Well, the shadow of Peter Mandelson looms large over Westminster as Starmer's day of reckoning arrives.
And a dark day for the States. The nation's deadliest mass shooting for over 2 years leaves 8 children dead.
Should politics ever come between family? Britain is more divided than ever, so this morning we're going to be discussing if it's ever okay to put your beliefs before your relationships.
In Portsmouth, struggling single mum Val is battling serious debt. Up the coast in Bournemouth, workaholic Steve Bolton is worth millions.
We're meeting 2 polar opposites who swapped houses for 1 week, and they both say it's changed their lives. Stay tuned to meet the latest stars of Rich House, Poor House.
And in sport this morning, it looks like advantage Manchester City in the Premier League title race as they beat Arsenal 2-1 at the Etihad. Nottingham Forest pull away from the relegation zone as West Ham play Crystal Palace this evening. And the world half-marathon record has been beaten, but not by a human.
Hello there, good morning. A chilly start out there with some mist and fog in places, brightening up today, but also some showers this afternoon. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
Good morning. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to our Rich House, Poor House guests.
That's going to be great.
Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't actually, but I'm going to watch it now.
Such a good show. So, I mean...
I've seen Rich Man, Poor Man, but that was quite about 40 years ago. That was an old TV show.
So someone with a big house, someone who's really rich,
Yeah.
swaps places with somebody who isn't
Right.
so well in life, and then they experience each other's lives for a whole week.
So who would, when you're saying they're changing their lives for the better, who... Well, I mean, if you're poor, you live in a big house, surely you're going to enjoy that more,
Yeah,
aren't
you have a great
But I
time,
think
yeah.
So you're going to have a rough old time.
But even for the wealthy person, it doesn't bring him back down to earth and ground them a little bit.
Do you
Opens their
think
eyes.
so?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, these guests we're speaking to later, Steve and Val, so they went on this show and it says it has changed their lives.
Who are they?
They're
Are they the rich or
really
poor?
Good friends. Steve is rich.
Right.
Val,
Oh, OK,
not so
fine.
much.
And they swap over.
And they're now really close family friends, and they see each other.
But when
all
you're
the
the
time.
rich one, if you've come from, because you get a lot of the nouveau riche, they come from nothing, so then maybe they're used to that. But are these people that are like always been rich?
We're going to find out.
I have so many questions
We're
already.
going to find
Okay.
out. But I think it would be amazing to hear about this.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
One more question. How long for? Do we know how long for? How long was it for? They would
week.
know for. Just a week. OK.
That's enough.
But now they're very close friends, so
That's
maybe
nice.
they hang out at each other's houses all the time. I don't know.
Well, at one of their houses.
We're going to chat to them at about 8:20, so don't miss that this morning.
Nice.
Certainly are.
Now, just gone 6 a.m. on what is Judgment Day for the Prime Minister.
Yes, in just under 8 hours' time, Sir Keir Starmer will face Parliament to set the record straight over the vetting process of Peter Mandelson.
Big question, though. Can the Prime Minister cling on to his job? He's facing mounting pressure to resign amid calls for a Commons inquiry into whether he misled Parliament.
Well, here to dissect how today could unfold is journalist and broadcaster Christo Fufas. Christo, thanks for joining us this morning. What a tremendous day it's going to be in British politics.
Yes, and are we going to get the answers that we need? Are the right questions going to be asked? There are so many questions that we need to know the answer to. What did the Prime Minister know, and when? Did he knowingly mislead Parliament? Did he accidentally mislead Parliament? Why is he just... why does he have the attribute of such a lack of curiosity? This forensic man that we were told, and this word will come back to haunt him, I'm sure, but why would you not ask the question? Why, when the Independent... I mean, the Mail today has laid out 10 questions the Prime Minister has to answer, but the one that they've not asked, because, of course, it involves another newspaper, is that on the 12th of September last year, the Independent reported on its front page that Peter Mandelson had not passed the further security screening. So would you not, if you were the Prime Minister, just think, do you know what? There's been a front page saying that security screening hasn't been passed. I'll just ask. I'll just ask the question.
Can I just add to that as well? Because it was the day before that, David Maddox, who is the political editor and wrote that story, messaged Tim Allen, who's the Director of Communications, who reports directly to the Prime Minister the same question. So again, did anyone... Because the Prime Minister said nobody in Downing Street knew. Tim Allen works in Downing Street. He must have known.
He must have known that someone was asking questions. Would you not then perhaps go to the Prime Minister and say, Prime Minister, we've been asked this question. Should we just check, because we've put so much on this man being appointed? Of course, Ollie Robbins, who's getting all of the flack for this and has now resigned, he started...
He was sacked, definitely.
Absolutely sacked, without a doubt. But again, there is this complete contradiction as well around him having to resign or be sacked, because the government... Keir Starmer is simultaneously saying, well, actually, it's outrageous I wasn't told. It is beyond belief I wasn't told. However...
He's furious.
Well, he's furious, yes. I mean, that almost involved an emotion, which we nearly got from him. But separately, all rules were followed, and it's the procedure that's wrong. Well, if the procedure is wrong and all rules were followed, why did he have to go? Why did he have to be sacked? You can't have it both ways if he did the job the way it was supposed to be done, and the procedure's the thing to blame. So there are so many contradictions. There are so many questions that aren't being answered. And it's this dancing on a head of a pin as well, well, we said that the procedure was followed, so the procedure's to blame. Do you think that the voting public, your viewers this morning sitting at home, are thinking, well, I'm so glad that the procedure was followed? Or do you think that they are sitting there thinking, this absolutely stinks? And either we are being fed a load of baloney and that this is an absolute lie and he knew all along, or he didn't, and we should take him at his word, in which case then he is woefully incompetent.
Is the other charge that I put to him is hypocrisy. We've now showed so many clips of the Prime Minister saying similar things about Boris Johnson, saying, oh, he hasn't got control of his own office, oh, the buck should stop with the PM on separate occasions, and calling for Johnson to resign, which eventually he did. He was booted out by his own party, of course. Isn't he just a hypocrite?
He's an absolute...
At the bare minimum.
Absolutely. In the brass neck of some of these people who have called for resignations for way less. It is unbelievable. And you'll remember the clip, I think you've shown it on your show, of I would never sort of throw my staff under the bus. I will carry the can. I'm sorry, but, you know, there are so many cans that have been carried by other people. I mean, they could probably get a fortune in recycling fees because everyone is carrying cans in Downing Street other than the Prime Minister. And so it is just the outright hypocrisy. We also don't know why Mandelson actually failed that further security screening.
There's reports that it's actually to do with his connections with Russia and China, rather than any friendship with Epstein. But this is the point, isn't it? There were so many red flags that are known to all of us. He was a controversial candidate anyway. He was a political candidate anyway. You would think our forensic human rights lawyer, Prime Minister, would have questions about whether or not he'd pass security.
Absolutely.
With all of that in mind.
And also, as well, again, if we give benefit of the doubt, which I'm not inclined to do, but let's try and do that. When he gave that pious speech where he said, I'm sorry, I was lied to, and all of this nonsense, he went out and said he passed security clearance. Would you not say to your aides before you went and gave that speech, I just want to check. I'm about to say he passed security clearance. Anything I need to know before I do that? But he didn't.
But this is the minutiae, isn't it, before we move on to Rayner and Burnham, who've been spotted, of course, having late-night talks. Some reportedly say it was actually at Rayner's house. But the minutiae, the critical thing the PM might get away with is that he can say, I didn't know specifically about the advanced security vetting, so we'll see how that plays out later. What do you make of this unholy alliance of Rayner and Burnham?
I mean, choosing between Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham, I mean, it's like choosing between being slapped in the face or punched in the stomach, isn't it? I mean, it's really, really not a choice that I think anyone will revel. And of course, all the vultures are circling. There are, of course, is these local elections in May. We'll see what the result is of some of those. But of course, that might be the thing that keeps Keir Starmer hanging on, because no one will want to do anything before then. And by the time that happens, the news cycle may well have moved on. A lot of people I've been reading online saying, actually, I don't think this is going to be enough to bring him down. And so we will...
What saying here as well, Christo, just saying, I have a feeling this isn't going to stick, because... nobody wants his job.
And also
he'll want it now.
And he'll obfuscate, he'll not answer the question, he'll talk about working people, and he'll do all of that stuff in order to avoid answering those important questions, and then it will just end up moving on until the next self-induced crisis in about 2 or 3 weeks' time.
OK, Christo, thank you very much.
Indeed. Well, a government spokesman said the security vetting process of Peter Mandelson was sponsored by the Foreign Office. The decision to grant developed vetting to Peter Mandelson against the recommendation of UK security vetting was taken by officials in the Foreign Office. Neither the Prime Minister nor any government minister was aware that Peter Mandelson was granted developed vetting against the advice of UK security vetting until earlier this week. All right.
Now, at 6:10, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
Yes, the United States has intercepted an Iranian-flagged cargo ship in the Gulf as part of its naval blockade, Donald Trump has said. The US president said the ship was seized after failing to respond to a warning to stop. Iran has labelled it as a violation of the ceasefire and has vowed to retaliate soon.
The government has announced a new complaint system to make it easier to report universities that fail to protect free speech. The Office for Students says it will run a first-of-its-kind scheme for university members to raise concerns. The new regulations are set to be introduced in June.
Paddington Bear's Platinum Jubilee Tea Party with the late Queen Elizabeth II has been recreated to commemorate what would have been her 100th birthday tomorrow. A limited edition Teddy-style bear is pictured alongside Paddington, resembling the comedy sketch With the Queen in Paddington that marked her Jubilee in 2022.
I just love that story. We spotted that in the papers this morning, didn't we?
We did. It's just so touching knowing that it's the Queen's 100th birthday as well.
I know.
Or the late Queen, should I say. And I think we miss her so much as a country. It's very hard to... She was such a seismic presence in Britain.
It hasn't been the same since, has it?
It hasn't. You're absolutely right, actually, Ellie.
No, and we miss her very much. So I think that's a lovely tribute, isn't it? That was such a good sketch.
Beautiful.
Paddington Bear and the late Queen. Let us know what you think on that. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Should we return to our top story this morning with political commentator Matthew Stadlen. Matthew, good morning. This is a seismic day, isn't it, for Keir Starmer? It's a seismic day for this government. Can he cling on? Will he stay?
As I swap seats with Christo, it's a bit like the dentist will see you now, isn't it? I thought Christo, to be fair to him, made a rather compelling case against the Prime Minister. I don't see it. I don't think he's not going to go now. This can't be his last day as Prime Minister. Even if he were to resign, he'd still hang around until there's a new Prime Minister. That's the first thing. I have never bought into this idea, and even after this incredibly difficult week for Keir Starmer, I still don't buy into this idea that he's going after the May elections. It is baked in that Labour are going to do terribly in these elections. Then we've got the King's speech, we've got the new agenda. Time and the news agenda is going to move on unbelievably quickly. If Starmer, and I don't think he did, but if he lied to Parliament, if he deliberately misled Parliament, then obviously he has to go. But that is a big if, and he denies it. I did see a piece in the Telegraph today that the Privileges Committee, I think, are being urged by the Lib Dems to get involved. Now, if they get involved, things get really sticky for Starmer. Obviously, they have to find against him, and he'd have to be suspended, or there'd be a recommendation that he be suspended as an MP. Then, of course, it's unsustainable. Yeah. I just still think it's unlikely that he's going to go over this. My guess is he'll be here next year. It is incredibly difficult, without the Privileges Committee or the Standards Committee stepping in, for a Labour Prime Minister to be ousted. They need 80 MPs. And who are those MPs, and who are they going to get behind? Angela Rayner is still being looked into, isn't she, by HMRC? Andy Burnham doesn't have a seat. Whereas Streeting is on the right of the party. It's not an easy move for him. And a lot of his supporters, I would have thought, would presumably line up behind Keir Starmer. And so I just don't see it at the moment.
How plausible is it to you, Matthew Stadlin, that nobody in number 10 knew that Peter Mandelson had failed vetting?
Well, what we know is that in September, the political editor of The Independent, I've seen him on this channel, he wrote to the then Director of Communications at number 10, Tim Allen, to say that he had 2 sources saying that Mandelson had failed MI6 vetting.
Yeah.
So number 10 was aware of the rumours. Now, that might not have got through to Starmer. That's kind of extraordinary if it didn't. And given that it had been put to Starmer, and that he then went out a few months later in February at a press conference and said specifically that he'd passed the security vetting, that is just a bizarre set of affairs.
That's the detail, though, isn't it? Because can the Prime Minister get away with saying, yes, we heard about the story, but we were reassured that he actually had passed vetting, and that is the difference. It's not whether he knew the story existed,
no,
whether
that's
he
true.
had confirmation.
That's true. And watching that press conference back, or that clip back, I don't believe that Starmer was lying to our face. I just don't believe it. And it'd be fascinating today, and it's a massive day for the Prime Minister, it'd be fascinating whether he officially corrects the record or not, whether he thinks that he has inadvertently misled Parliament.
But there's precedent for that, even inadvertently misleading Parliament. Amber Rudd went over that in the Windrush scandal.
She did. The fact that she went over that doesn't mean that the Prime Minister will go.
There's
a higher bar,
though, isn't there?
There's a higher bar for a Prime Minister. It's awkward for the Prime Minister that Sir Ollie Robbins goes tomorrow. He's going to try and get ahead of Sir Ollie. But if he really believes that he's done nothing wrong, or he's certainly not been dishonest, well, then he is in the clear. Because, yes, you can say he should have been more curious, you could say he hasn't been brilliantly competent, but I don't think that's enough to bring him down.
And this is going to go on all week, because, as you said, today is Starmer, tomorrow's Robbins, Wednesday's PMQ. So whatever happens on Tuesday, it carries through to PMQs, and then the press are going to have a field day with that.
But a lot of this does, and Christo alluded to this, a lot of this hinges as well on the news agenda. And we've got a massive conflict going on in the Middle East at the moment, which means that we're all paying vastly more at the pump than we were a few weeks ago.
Certainly. David Maddox, by the way, will be on Britain's Newsroom at 9:30 this morning, so that'll be an interesting one to watch.
Could I very briefly make the point? When Starmer appointed Mandelson in the first place, unlike some, Nigel Farage supported it, Dan Hodges, who's been relentless in the Mail going for Starmer, I was astonished. I didn't support that move. I couldn't really believe what was going on. And it was a bad decision by the Prime Minister. I'm not defending that decision. And it has sucked in so much goodwill. And if you make a bad decision, all sorts of other bad stuff then happens.
He's bruised either way. He's not coming out of this scar-free, is he, unfortunately, for the PM? But there we go.
Matthew, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Should we have a little look at your weather with Honor Chiswick?
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a day of sunshine and showers ahead. Still plenty of warm weather across the south, though feeling that little bit cooler across many eastern areas. And it's quite a chilly start for all out there this morning. A patchy frost in places. Some mist and fog, though this should clear away fairly quickly through this morning. And a dry and bright start for many areas. Some fair weather cloud eventually starting to build up. This thick enough to produce some showers by the afternoon. And fairly unsettled across Scotland today with some spells of rain. This could turn a little heavy at times. And even amongst the showers, we could potentially see some heavier downpours, but across the south, across Northern Ireland, still mostly dry, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius. Now, to finish off the day across Scotland, fair amount of cloud around, any rain turning more showery in nature, but still could turn a little heavy at times. Some scattered showers across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England still could continue through into this evening, and fairly similar elsewhere across England and Wales. But once again, across the very far south, a dry and fine end to the day, and mostly light winds as well through the course of this evening. Now, there could still be some showers at times, moving their way westwards across the country, perhaps banding together at times as well, just bringing some longer spells of rain. But we'll also see a mixture of some dry spells, some clearer skies. And where we see any prolonged clear skies, that's where, once again, it could turn a bit chilly with a rural frost in places, but perhaps not turning quite as chilly as it did last night. Most towns and cities around the mid-single figures. Now, first thing on Tuesday, we'll still continue to see some showers for a time, but quite a keen easterly breeze starting to pick up. That should move away any showers. And actually, through the course of the day, it should be mostly dry and bright, a return of plenty of sunshine across the country. But in that easterly wind, things will start to feel that bit chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts and across the south, where we could see quite a keen easterly breeze. But in any sheltered spots, once again, feeling warm in the sunshine.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
OK, still to come, we will have the latest on the shooting in Louisiana, where police say at least 8 children have been killed.
That's absolutely horrific, isn't it? We're going to get all the details on that for you next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, this is the most horrific story that you're waking up to this morning. Police in Louisiana say at least 8 children, aged between 1 and 14 years old, have been killed in a mass shooting.
Yes, police have identified the gunman as the father of 7 of the victims. Joining us now from Washington, D.C. is foreign correspondent Sarah Firth. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is a chilling story, and I think even more chilling for Brits, because we obviously don't hear of mass shootings like this in this country.
Yes, guys, a really harrowing story. And so some of the details are obviously going to be deeply upsetting for viewers. But this is one of the deadliest mass shootings in the last couple of years in the United States. Louisiana police are investigating this right now, but they have named the shooter as Shamar Elkins, 31-year-old man who was, we're told, the father of 7 of the 8 children that were killed. There were 2 other adults that were seriously wounded. They are being treated in hospital. One at this time is believed to be the mother, but police still investigating those details. And Shamar Elkins described as having mental health problems, police describing this as an act of domestic violence. But guys, we always hear so much about the name of the shooter in these mass shooting incidents, right? The coroners have actually given us an update. And so if it's okay with you, I'd like to take a moment just to talk about what we know about those very young victims here. 3 boys, 5 girls. Jayla Elkins, 3 years old. Shayla Elkins, 5 years old. Kayla Pugh, 6 years old. Markaden Pugh, 10 years old. Soraya Snow, 11 years old. Kedarian Snow, 6 years old. And Braylon Snow, 6 years old. That is the latest information from the coroner's office. And I think one of the most harrowing details here, that the 7 of the 8 children were found shot dead in what police are describing as execution style inside the house, and one of those children found dead on the roof, having apparently appeared to escape. So just really harrowing details, and the coroner's giving the names of those very young 8 children who were so devastatingly killed, 7 of the 8 of them by their own father, police are saying.
It's beyond words, Sarah, and I can see how emotional this is for you, having to report this to us as a mother yourself. Just absolutely horrific. Thank you so much for bringing that to us.
Yeah, hey, harrowing. What can you say?
There are no words.
It's just harrowing.
Horrific, evil.
Yeah, it is evil, Ellie. You're absolutely right. I can't imagine what must go through someone's head to commit such an evil
act,
crime.
Yeah, absolutely. Really is. All right, let's change tack, shall we? If you are travelling to work or school this morning, here is your traffic and travel update.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A985, the road is closed both ways between Rosyth and Cairney Hill after a road traffic collision, so please allow extra time and follow diversion signs. In Hampshire, on the M27 eastbound between Junction 4 and Junction 5, one lane is shut for road management, with conditions expected to improve after 7:15 this morning. And on the trains, there is disruption on the Elizabeth line at London Paddington, and Great Western Railway services are also disrupted at Paddington. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
All right, still to come, Paul Coyd will have the latest on sport for us. Wonder what he's going to tell us today. Hopefully some good news.
I think it's been a bit different, actually. I think we're going to talk about a robot who has beat the half-marathon record.
Is it?
Faster than any human.
Yeah.
Probably no surprise.
Get some shopping for me, actually. That's not
That'd be handy, wouldn't it?
I can get shopping. Can
handy.
you imagine that?
Very good. Anyway, we're going to hear about that next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co. with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Do you trust what you're being told?
Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts. I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back. It's 6:30 precisely. Paul Coates here with all the sport.
I love the precisely.
6:30 on the nose.
It really was on the nose.
Very good. It's almost like we did.
Do they still have the speaking clock, by the way? When you phone up the speaking clock, does that still exist?
I haven't done that in years.
That's really good. Where did they? Yeah,
because I don't think you'd get. You know, they probably don't get the calls they used to.
No, maybe we should.
And who would phone it anyway? It's because you're more likely to have a phone than a clock.
Yeah.
I always found that a bit strange.
Phones are pretty accurate now, though, aren't they?
At the third stroke, Alex. It will be Manchester City 2, Arsenal 1, precisely. Ooh. You know what? The Premier League, the running, I mean, it's really hotting up at the top. It is at the bottom as well. Yeah. It's getting very excited. And Manchester City, now, there's the talk, there's a lot of fans that would love to look at Arsenal. And you know what? And I may surprise you because they go, oh, they're going to bottle it, they're blowing it, they do it every year. I'm not going to do any of that stuff because I don't think the Premier League title race is over yet. Right. So Arsenal, they've been top since October. They are still top. It shouldn't be, dismissed the fact that they're not top. They are still top. They've been top since October. Momentum, though, is turning. It was a great game yesterday at the Etihad. And Arsenal were very good. But Manchester City took their chances and were better. I think it's as simple as that. Now, Arsenal have got 70 points. City are second at the moment on 67. Yeah. But they have a game in hand, which they play Burnley on Wednesday, which you'd expect them to win. So then, after that's done, they've played the same games, same points, and there's only like a couple of goals difference.
Yeah.
So 5 games each. And then it's going to be the run-in.
Haven't lost a game in the last 5 games either.
No, whereas you've got Arsenal have lost 4 out of the last 6 that they've played. If you look at the record that Mikel Arteta has had in April, it's really not very good. And we don't know whether... Is it a psychological thing? Yeah. Maybe it is. There's a lot of psychology in this.
At the top.
Whereas Pep Guardiola knows how to win. So anyway, it's going to be a hell of a run-in. We're very excited about it. Everton were beaten by Liverpool at home last night. It was the first... Merseyside derby that's taken place at the new Everton Stadium, the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and also it was last minute. It's the worst way to lose a game. You know, you look in after 90 minutes, and I know what it's like from Saturday, what it's like to concede after about 95 minutes. But Liverpool then injury time winner, 6th time in Premier League history that Liverpool have beaten Everton in injury time. I'm full of facts, by the way.
You are.
I'm full of numbers.
You're like a robot.
I am a little bit. I see what you're doing.
You see what I'm doing there, but we'll save it, will we? Should we save it?
I think we could probably look at that. I think we can look at this. I've got more football coming up, but the thing is, you know, I love the athletics, but there was the Beijing half marathon that took place yesterday, which was won by a robot. What do they call them? What do they call it? A humanoid? Yeah. Look at this. I mean, look at this. That's Honor, as you can see.
He's quite scary looking. If you're listening on the radio, it's a red robot.
With a barrel chest.
With a big barrel chest.
You're a Star Wars fan. It does look like something out of Star Wars.
I mean, look at that. Now...
And bowed legs.
which is giving me more hope to get out there on the streets. It's good to see a bow-leg running machine.
Apart.
Yeah, wide berth on the legs.
But look at these. So anyway, they have thousands of people out on the streets that are running the Beijing Half Marathon, and then lots of robots as well. And it really is... I don't know about you, but I'm looking at this and I find it really just eerie, and also because they seem real. And there was also footage of one of them falling over that gets smashed, and I felt myself feeling sorry for it. And I'm thinking, oh, it's lost its arm.
Paula Radcliffe.
It's very dystopian. Oh, that sprint finish there, that's a real sprint.
But the thing is, they don't have to speed up and slow down. I don't know whether someone is controlling it, going along with them, or they just have some sort of thing that just recognises every turn, and I just don't know.
Do they run in the same race as the humans?
Yes.
So they do?
Yeah, look, you can see the humans on the left, and there's the robots on the right. So the world record for the half marathon, which is 13 miles, is 57 minutes and 20 seconds. I wasn't going to ask you what the world record after, because you really do have form when it comes to world records. We've seen that before. But Lightning actually did it in 50 minutes and 26 seconds. 7 seconds off the human world record, which then at the end of the day, should I be surprised? No, because it's a machine.
It's a machine,
It's a machine, for crying out loud.
It would be good. All right, Coity, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
There'll be a machine doing this. I'll tell you, I'll be replaced by a machine in about an hour. I'm sure.
We could get one in Downing Street. Oh, maybe there is already one there. There we go. All right, coming up, it's now time for your daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, I am Marjorie and I'm a Baptist minister in the north of England. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, 2 disciples are walking away from Jerusalem on a road to Emmaus. Their hopes have collapsed. They had believed Jesus was the one who was going to redeem Israel, but now he has been crucified. The one they trusted in is dead, and their hope died with him, or so they thought. And they walk away in confusion and in deep disappointment. And then Jesus comes near. Luke tells us that their eyes were kept from recognizing him. The risen Christ walks beside them, listens to their grief, and even asks them what they are discussing. It's startling. They are pouring out their disappointment to the very one they are grieving. Notice something important here. Their inability to recognize Jesus was not because he was absent, but because their expectations were misplaced and different. They expected political redemption. They expected immediate triumph. They did not yet understand that suffering would precede glory. Sometimes we fail to recognize God not because he is hidden, but because he is working in a way we did not anticipate. Jesus responds not with rebuke, but with revelation. he begins to reframe everything, showing them how even their worst moment wasn't the end of the story. Finally, at the table, Jesus takes bread, blesses it, and gives it to them. And in that familiar action, their eyes are open. They recognize him. The Emmaus Road reminds us that we can walk with Jesus and not realize it. But the good news is that even when we fail to recognize him, he does not fail to walk with us. We often want instant answers, but on the road to Emmaus, understanding came step by step.
That's our daily reflection on this Monday morning. A message of hope from Marjorie there, who's one of our favourite daily reflections.
Wonderful. And Simon says, well, there you go, daily reflection. We bought it for you there, Simon. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a wonderful way to start the day, something unique here.
And start the week, yeah.
And start the week, indeed, yes. Well, look, still to come, it's the Prime Minister's Day of Reckoning, isn't it?
Yes.
Will he make it through? Or could it be his last?
Yeah, Dawn Neeson and Chris Sakabusi are here discussing that with us next. And what has Dawn got? Of
What is
course,
that?
It's a Hammers hat, of course. It's made it here on a Monday morning. See you in a second, you two. They're always up to mischief.
They really are. Here's your forecast for top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. Some showers or longer spells of rain across parts of Europe, otherwise mostly sunny, feeling warm in the sunshine too. Some showery outbreaks expected across Italy, parts of Greece and also Albania, but as we move towards central Mediterranean, mostly dry, lots of sunshine, and further out to the west, an area of low pressure will swing in some clouds, some longer spells of rain across Portugal, western parts of Spain, also some showers affecting the Canary Islands, but into next week mostly dry, sunny and feeling warm in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Dubes & Co. Weekdays from 6 p.m.
I was thinking about this all day today. I think the problem is NIMBYism. Now, normally I say that when we're talking about housing, so it's people who say, oh yeah, obviously people need to live in houses, but I don't want them in my community.
Yeah.
And here the issue is, yes, I do think it is quite disruptive for a community if a group of travellers come and set up an unauthorised site. But the important context is there aren't any authorised sites for them to use. So if we had a system whereby the central government says, we're going to invest in all of these authorised sites around the country, then if you've got people who are going, and parking on someone else's land and making a mess, sure, clamp down on them. But until they've got somewhere else to go, what's the point? Because you're clamping down on them there, and then drive down the road and go on someone else's bit of land. So the problem is only solved if you give people a permanent place to camp up, or if they want to keep moving, you have a few of them. There's a traveller site down the road from me in Hackney, and it's fine, but that's because it's authorised.
You see, I was surprised to read. I would have thought the numbers of travellers would have been going down. I think of it as being, and again, this is terribly uninformed of me and it's sort of a stereotype, but I thought they were of a different time. But it turns out that in the last 10 years, travellers in this country have gone up by 25%.
Now, one of the issues is, I know the point about NIMBYism, but I also think that a lot of people feel like things are just not fair. That people are bunking the tube trains, people are like fly tipping everywhere. They should have some sense of pride in Britain. That people come along, they don't pay anything, no rent. No, look, millions are on benefits. Now you have to earn 75 grand each to just get the same amount as if you got 3 kids on benefits in Britain, 5 million at least. And I don't want citizens to be pitted against each other. If we had more of a sense of who we were and believing in a nation and our civic pride and our communities and a sense of networks, I don't think these things would take such a big impact on us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's 6:42. Should we take a look at some of the newspaper front pages?
Let's do it. Should we start with the Daily Mail? The Mail focuses on the Prime Minister, of course, ahead of his address to the House of Commons later today, with the headline, Day Starmer has to stand up and take the blame.
The Telegraph claims that Sir Keir Starmer knew there were red flags attached to Peter Mandelson before appointing him as US ambassador.
And the Times lead on the same story, claiming Lord Mandelson had the top level, get this, of security clearance. Can you believe it?
The Express reports that crime costs UK taxpayers £90 million a day under this government.
Indeed. Well, look who we got with us today. Former Olympian and broadcaster Chris Akabusi and former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson. Good morning, you two.
Good morning, good morning. God, not former. Once an Olympian, you're always an Olympian.
Oh, sorry.
Never former.
Thanks for Chris. Do you think you could beat that robot? I don't know if you saw that robot running.
I did. What a funny gate. The answer is no, you could definitely not beat the robot, because how does it run out of steam?
It doesn't.
No, exactly. See,
batteries. It has got batteries.
Then I would. Yeah. Pull out the batteries.
Long distance, Chris. But talking to somebody who might run out of steam, Dawn.
Very good.
Daily Mail, Day Starmer has to stand up and take the blame. Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I don't. It'd be very interesting. I mean, it is going to be the week from hell from the Prime Minister, but I it's a week from hell that is brought on himself. I mean, the buck surely now has to stop with him. You know, he's sacked 3 people related to this scandal already, and sometimes someone's going to say, "Well, what about you, mate?" And I think Kemi Badenoch has written a letter saying, you know, you have misled Parliament. You've got to make a stand now, and I think he's going to have to stand up today and admit to doing that. Inadvertently, maybe, but even then I don't think it's inadvertently. The thing is with the whole vetting process, it's like, you know, Mandelson was given the job before vetting was carried out. The vetting failed, but it didn't fail. It was still given the top level of clearance. And, you know, we're talking about Peter Mandelson here, by the way. This is not just some random that no one knows anything about.
Prince of Darkness.
The Prince of Darkness. Self-confessed Prince. He's been sacked 3 times. He runs a consulting firm linked to the Chinese government. He's given top-level clearance by the government.
But this is what people don't understand, Dawn, is, I mean, the front page of the Daily Telegraph says Starmer knew about Mandelson red flags. Everybody knew about Mandelson's red flags.
Ellie,
the street would know about Mandelson's
my mum, who's in her mid-80s, said it was well dodgy, isn't he?
Yes.
My mum's saying that.
Everybody knows that.
It's not like he comes with red flags, does he? I mean, it's just insane.
So then it's whether or not you accept that the Prime Minister didn't have any questions to ask.
Well, I was just thinking, just imagine if you were responsible, would you not, and you heard that he passed a vetting process, would you not go, oh, OK, is there anything I should know? Would you not just ask a question? Yeah, Peter Mandelson. Oh, great, he passed, did he? Wow. Did anything come up? Is there anything I should know, though?
But the thing is, guys...
It seems natural, doesn't it?
Yeah, you just asked a question, wouldn't it?
Especially if you're a lawyer.
Well, you've also got the fact that the guidance did tell Keir Starmer that he had stayed at Epstein's apartment even after Epstein's conviction, so that was a red flag. This China stuff was a red flag. And the interesting thing on the China story is that would it have been enough of an issue for... If Mandelson wasn't enough of a red flag, would the China story would have been enough of a red flag? Yeah. In fact, I have a feeling, and I'm just my opinion, that Keir Starmer might have seen it actually as a good thing, given they want to get closer to China.
You could argue that particular point. You're a braver man than me for doing so. The thing is with this, I mean, it's like, you know, Keir Starmer's brought this on himself, and he has to face consequences. And him giving speech over the week and saying, I'm furious, I wasn't told. You knew. You had to know.
You know what, he's not just brought him himself. Basically, now we are going to be talking about this. In fact, we have been talking about it for the last six to 8 months, rather than getting on with running the country, internal and externally. So, you know, when your process, procedures and systems become the topic front page, you know you've got a problem. And that's where we are right now.
The thing is, we're in trouble. We have a war going on in the Middle East. We have a Foreign Office that's at war with the government, and we have someone who was given security clearance to the highest level who is actually a security risk. So everything this government do now, we have a zombie Prime Minister. Whatever happens today, he is a zombie. No one's going to take any notice.
Don't you ask yourself the question, what happened to falling on your sword? What happened to accountability and integrity?
Well, if you can sack 3 civil servants before you fall on your sword, then, maybe delaying it. Yeah, we quite. No, actually, what happened to integrity? You're right.
Because he has asked, he asks countless former ministers, Dominic Raab, Priti Patel, Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson, all to resign for far lesser things than this.
Yes.
And that is part of
it's the hypocrisy, Alex. That's the other part of this, apart from the national security threat to all of us.
Dawn, what do you make of the theory that Sir Ollie, so it's this civil servant who has resigned or been sacked, he could it be that he was the fall guy who was only obeying orders, that the Prime Minister or the Chief of Staff at the time, Morgan McSweeney, made it known to him that this was their candidate of choice and he was going to be put in place regardless of anything that vetting threw up?
Well, I mean, today we learn that Ollie Robbins might be taking legal action, and I honestly could not blame him because I think he has been the fall guy. Because we also know that Dame Antonia Romario, who is our Cabinet Secretary, another appointment by Keir Starmer, she knew. She knew about these problems in March. Now, she is the right-hand woman to Keir Starmer. Why hasn't she been sacked? If you're going to sack Ollie Robbins for the same thing, not telling me what was going on, why are you not sacking Dame Antonia as well?
There's another person we're not talking about a lot, Chris. It's the Foreign Secretary, former Foreign Secretary, should I say, David Lammy, who James Cleverly, who was also Foreign Secretary in the past, said there's no way he didn't know.
And look, I mean, you can get further and further. I agree that David Lammy's got questions to answer. I don't know why he's not being asked to answer them. I don't know why he wasn't called on this weekend to put forward his case.
Yeah, bonkers stuff.
Yeah. OK, let's look at something else entirely, shall we, Chris? Do you think allowing tracksuits in school is more inclusive? Because that's what MPs are recommending.
Yeah, I really don't understand. I thought the idea of a school uniform was to be inclusive. You keep it simple, depends what your uniform is, but, for the young lads, jacket, collar, simple school uniform tie, maybe the school crest on there, black grey trousers, keep it simple, non-branded uniform. I think when I was a kid at school, the challenge was that even school uniform could be differentiated, whether you had a Ben Sherman or a Brutus shirt on, etc., etc., So I don't get it. I don't get it with this one here. I was thinking when it comes to school tracksuits, you can end up with branded tracksuits. What I do understand, in the winter, having a tracksuit, because when we play sports in the winter, we were in shorts and...
T-shirt, yeah, me too.
So you were freezing.
Yeah.
So being allowed to wear a tracksuit in the winter makes sense.
But that was part of toughening us up, Chris. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to get out there in the cold. No, we survived it. What do you think, Dawn?
I think school uniform, as Chris has said, is designed to help children, certainly from poorer families. There's no competition. You are included. Everybody wears the same thing. Everybody looks the same. And I think, if you're struggling to afford sort of like designer trainers, and it leads to bullying and things like that. So I think it's fairer on the kids, to be honest with you.
What I do like, though, part of what they were talking about is actually broadening the sports, access to sports. So rather than just being rugby, football, blah, blah, blah.
God, yeah,
things
absolutely.
like, skateboarding, dance, does encourage more people to get involved.
Get them doing more sport, full stop, absolutely.
Yeah, well, just very briefly staying with that theme, MPs plan to ban no ball games sign-in fitness drive, Chris.
Yeah, again, I was just reading through that and I wonder what they're getting into, because obviously if it says no ball games, it's probably to avoid the ball going into Granny's annex next door, which I would understand. Again, they talk a lot about bringing in new sports like cheerleading for the girls. Well, what about the boys?
Well, that's very sexist,
It is very sexist.
Well, boys can be cheerleaders.
So girls and boys. But again, I do understand encouraging more participation. So if it's trying to encourage more participation, great. The UK is at the bottom of the league with 36% of people being inactive when it comes to... We're at the bottom of the league in Europe. So I do understand trying to get us all more engaged in sport. But you know what? We were doing that slogan All for Sport was like 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. Are we still struggling?
This comes around. Well, 36% of people, adults in this country, are completely inactive, do absolutely nothing, not even walking.
Yeah.
All right, you two, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again in 45 minutes.
Thank you, you two. Now, just time to tell you about the Great British Giveaway now. And there are just 2 weeks left for your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. It's a goodie, isn't it?
It is. It's 25 grand in tax-free cash and a brand new 4-berth camper van. If you want to get away, it's a good one. Make sure you don't miss out.
There's just 2 weeks remaining to grab your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. Just in time for summer, you could be driving away with your very own 4-berth camper van. This Benny Van 122 could give you the perfect getaway this year, as it comes complete with all of the features you'd expect of a vehicle worth over £67,000. A built-in kitchen and bathroom, dedicated living areas, and panoramic opening rear doors. Plus, you can drive it on your existing license. We'll also give you an incredible £25,000 in tax-free cash. Lines close on the 1st of May, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes are closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes,
all right.
good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Lots more to come, including an interview with Sir Richard Dearlove, the former head of MI6. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the vetting process and just how plausible it is that nobody at number 10 knew that Peter Mandelson had failed vetting.
Indeed. We're speaking to the Lib Dem Cabinet Office spokesperson Lisa Smart next. But first, let's get your weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a day of sunshine and showers ahead. Still plenty of warm weather across the south, though feeling that little bit cooler across many eastern areas. And it's quite a chilly start for all out there this morning. A patchy frost in places. Some mist and fog, though this should clear away fairly quickly through this morning. And a dry and bright start for many areas. Some fair weather cloud eventually starting to build up. This thick enough to produce some showers by the afternoon. And fairly unsettled across Scotland today with some spells of rain. This could turn a little heavy at times, and even amongst the showers we could potentially see some heavier downpours. But across the south, across Northern Ireland, still mostly dry, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius. Now, to finish off the day across Scotland, fair amount of cloud around, any rain turning more showery in nature, but still could turn a little heavy at times. Some scattered showers across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England still could continue through into this evening, and fairly similar elsewhere across England and Wales. But once again, across the very far south, a dry and fine end to the day, and mostly light winds as well through the course of this evening. Now, there could still be some showers at times, moving their way westwards across the country, perhaps banding together at times as well, just bringing some longer spells of rain. But we'll also see a mixture of some dry spells, some clearer skies, and where we see any prolonged clear skies, that's where once again it could turn a bit chilly with a rural frost in places, but perhaps not turning quite as chilly as it did last night. Most towns and cities around the mid-single figures. Now, first thing on Tuesday, we'll still continue to see some showers for a time, but quite a keen easterly breeze starting to pick up. That should move away any showers, and actually through the course of the day it should be mostly dry and bright, a return of plenty of sunshine across the country. But in that easterly wind, things will start to feel that bit chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts and across the south, where we could see quite a keen easterly breeze. But in any sheltered spots, once again, feeling warm in the sunshine.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A985 remains closed in both directions between Rosyth and Cairney Hill due to a significant road traffic collision. Motorists are advised to allow extra travel time and follow the signed diversions. On the M1 southbound, between junctions 33 and 32 near Rotherham, a broken-down vehicle is causing congestion by blocking one of the 4 lanes, leading to slow-moving traffic. Additionally, on the trains, there is disruption on the Elizabeth line at London Paddington, and services by Great Western Railway are also facing disruptions at Paddington. Please check travel updates before you travel, and for more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
There's just 2 weeks remaining to grab your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. You could be driving away with your very own 4-berth camper van. This Benny Van 122 could give you the perfect getaway this year. We'll also give you an incredible £25,000 in tax-free cash. Lines close on the 1st of May, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Could today be the Prime Minister's last in office?
Well, in a matter of hours, Sir Keir Starmer will fight for his political life in the House of Commons.
Well, the shadow of Peter Mandelson looms large over Westminster this morning as Starmer's day of reckoning arrives.
And a dark day for the States. The nation's deadliest mass shooting for over 2 years leaves 8 children dead.
Should politics ever come between a family? Well, Britain is more divided than ever, so we're going to be discussing this morning if it's ever okay to put your beliefs before your relationships.
It's an interesting one.
In Portsmouth, struggling single mum Val is battling serious debt. Up the coast in Bournemouth, workaholic Steve Bolton is worth millions.
And we're meeting 2 polar opposites who swapped houses for 1 week, and they both say it changed their lives. Stay tuned to meet the latest stars of Rich House, Poor House.
And in sport this morning, it looks like advantage Manchester City as the Premier League title race as they beat Arsenal 2-1 at the Etihad. Nottingham Forest pull away from the relegation zone as West Ham play Crystal Palace tonight. And in golf, Matt Fitzpatrick silences those loud Americans.
Hello there, good morning. A chilly start out there with some mist and fog in places, brightening up today, but also some showers this afternoon. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
Good morning, it's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
You are being very funny on gbnews.com/you'll say this morning. So many of you saying you've put champagne on ice.
Yeah,
because you're hoping this is going to be the last day for Sir Keir Starmer. At least two of you. I think I saw Joy saying she's put champagne on ice.
That's right, she did. One of my guests last night said they'd throw a street party. That is how far people are willing to go. And look, I get it. He is the most unpopular Prime Minister on record, at least. So you can see the feeling is pretty strong out there. Lots of you writing in about it.
So many of you counting down the hours until the Prime Minister addresses the House this afternoon, saying you're going to get the popcorn out.
Sue says, I'll be happy when I see a podium removal vans in Downing Street. Yeah, that would be a day, wouldn't it? I wouldn't hold your breath. I really wouldn't.
No. Yeah. Lots of you also reflected the fact that the Prime Minister's like Teflon and nothing sticks. And this could be another scandal that he's able to get through. But anyway, we will see this afternoon, won't we?
We certainly will.
Because it is Judgment Day for the Prime Minister.
In just under 8 hours' time, Sir Keir Starmer will face Parliament to set the record straight over the vetting process of Peter Mandelson.
But can the Prime Minister cling on to his job? He's facing mounting pressure to resign amid calls for a Commons inquiry into whether he misled Parliament.
Joining us now is former Labour MP Baroness Kate Hoey. Good morning, Baroness Kate. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is disastrous for the Prime Minister. He is going to be torn apart, I suspect, in the House of Commons today, and then by Sir Oliver Robbins tomorrow, and then PMQs on Wednesday. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Well, it's going to be a very busy week for the Prime Minister, and I think he is going to have to answer questions. I think we've seen quite a lot recently of Prime Ministers where he avoids questions. Now, today, he will probably get some quite difficult ones, even from his own side. So he really is going to have to come up with something new, because we've heard quite a lot already about what he, his reasons for doing all these things that we now know were misleading, if not actually lies. So it's a difficult day for him, and he's going to have a difficult day tomorrow and a difficult day on Wednesday. But he's not going to give up very easily. I wouldn't think he's going to resign. If any of your viewers and listeners think he's going to resign, I can't see that happening.
Kate, how plausible do you think it is that nobody in Number 10 knew that Peter Mandelson had failed vetting? Because we now know, don't we, we found out over the weekend that the Prime Minister's head of press, Tim Allen, was contacted about this story back in September, being told, look, we've got two sources here saying that Peter Mandelson has failed his security vetting. Do you truly believe that Tim Allen kept that to himself in a vacuum and didn't speak to anybody else in Number 10?
I cannot believe that someone in Downing Street didn't know. I actually don't think the Prime Minister didn't know something. And if he didn't, why on earth did he ask? I mean, we already saw him appointing someone, before he'd even had his vetting. And, you have to question, this is a security service doing security vetting. And if they then come up with something that says with a red flag, whether he's passed or failed, it's a red flag he got. And then nobody does anything about it. What's the point of security vetting? Why are we spending all this money on security services if when something like this, the most important diplomatic post, that we've got, and he gets security vetting, and then nobody knows, supposedly. It just doesn't ring true. And I think most importantly, how, especially more recently, once the Epstein files came out, why was the Prime Minister not asking then? It just doesn't fall true. I'm afraid, the Prime Minister is very, very much, to me, my view, misleading Parliament, as I said, if not downright lying. And of course, we will see tomorrow when we see the Permanent Secretary at the Foreign Office, who's been the one who's had to lose his job over this, how he will react. And I think that's going to be a very interesting session, because the Foreign Affairs Select Committee is quite a hard committee to appear in front of at any time.
Baroness Hoey, let me ask you this. You understand the ministerial code relatively well, I would have thought, and the difficulty is this, right? If he inadvertently misled the House of Commons, he can get away by correcting the record. The charge that some are putting to him is that he didn't do it at the earliest opportunity. He allegedly found out about this story on Tuesday. PMQs happened on Wednesday. We're now Monday, a few days later. Is there a breach there, perhaps?
Well, I think it just adds to the nonsense of the idea that somehow the Prime Minister has acted properly during this, because he did know earlier. Why did he not come then? If he'd come on and if he was really genuinely angry and astonished as he said he was, why did he not come immediately and explain it to the House of Commons? Because MPs, that's the one thing that they don't like, to feel that they're being, deliberately misled. They already see that a lot, as I've said, at Prime Minister's questions, where he refuses to answer the questions and simply turns around and blames either the opposition or Reform. So, he is in trouble. But, there isn't really an immediate successor ready. So that's why I doubt that he will. I think he will try and cling on until after the May elections, when I think all the things that have happened in the last few days aren't going to help their chances in May.
Where does this leave the Prime Minister? Let's say he survives this, he survives the week. Where does this leave him and his authority? Where does it leave the government? And this comes, Kate, as reports this morning in the Daily Mail that Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham were seen having late-night talks on Friday evening. What should we read into that?
Well, I'm sure that it's not just Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham that are discussing, let's say, the future leadership of the party, because obviously they do feel that, I think everyone feels that Keir Starmer's time is up. It's just a question of when. And so I think the party, many people in the party will want to avoid huge rows over who takes over if the Prime Minister was to resign or was to be pushed out. But I think we're going to see lots of manoeuvring, lots of discussions. And again, I think that because there are these elections and, all Labour MPs presumably are out on the doorstep, as they talk about, then it's a little bit more difficult for them at the moment, because they really have to look like they're out there wanting to campaign. But it's not good. It's not looking good for Labour, as we know, and it's all in the end. One person's at the top with the responsibility, and that's the Prime Minister.
I just want to ask you about the former Foreign Secretary, now Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary, David Lammy, because James Cleverly, who was, of course, a Foreign Secretary in the previous government, he said there's no way David Lammy wouldn't have known. Are we not talking enough about the Foreign Secretary here? Former Foreign Secretary, should I say? Yeah, he certainly has avoided being in the firing line at the moment. But yes, you're right. If he was Foreign Secretary when all this was happening, again, it shows a lack of I just don't understand, because when I was a minister, perhaps I was too interfering, but I was always kind of asking things. And I mean, civil servants don't like being pushed. But, if you were the Foreign Secretary and this is happening and you know that Peter Mandelson is a controversial figure, you would have thought, wouldn't you, that the Foreign Secretary would have said, well, hang on, what is going on here about the vetting? Are we going to... But you see, let's not forget, the Prime Minister wanted Peter Mandelson as his ambassador. He was prepared to do anything really over... he wanted him. All his ministers knew that, and certainly in the Foreign Office they knew that, and I understand that some people in the Foreign Office didn't want him, but they knew that the Prime Minister wanted him, and they've gone ahead. So I think, the Foreign Secretary the ex-Foreign Secretary will have to answer questions as well at some stage on this. Yeah, just a brief follow-up on David Lammy, because I tell you what bothers me about it, Baroness Hoey, is that we heard originally that he was very supportive of Mandelson when the appointment was made. Then later on, he claimed that he warned the Prime Minister against the appointment. And this is where I think we're not paying enough attention, because that is a discrepancy, quite a large one.
Yes, I mean, you're right. He did do that, and it didn't get picked up really by the media the way, perhaps GB News covered it, but it wasn't covered in the way that you might have thought. So yes, again, that is something that, if by any chance the Prime Minister actually does decide to go or is pushed, then a lot more questions will come out and a lot more will be asked, and other people will be drawn into this. It won't just be the Prime Minister.
Indeed.
OK, Baroness Kate Hoey, really good to get your perspective on things. Thank you so much for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
Indeed.
Thank you.
All right, so let's hear now from Liberal Democrats Cabinet Office spokesperson Lisa Smart. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Quite a seismic day in politics. I'm sure it will go down in the books for sure. Your party leader, Ed Davey, has been on GB News and across the media calling for the Prime Minister to resign or perhaps even backing a vote of no confidence. Do you think that's likely after today, that the Prime Minister will be gone?
The Prime Minister should be gone. He has shown catastrophically poor judgment throughout this whole sorry Peter Mandelson scandal. And he'll be coming to the House of Commons today. He'll have a lot of questions to answer. Did he know? What did he know? When? And why didn't he come to the House when he said he did know? He said he did know last Tuesday. He did come to Prime Minister's questions on Wednesday, and he didn't mention it. And that's why we of Liberal Democrats have said he should go, his poor judgment. But we've also said that he should be referred to his own ethics advisor and also the Privileges Committee to investigate what happened, when it happened, and whether there were any breaches of the ministerial code. We're talking about some of the very most sensitive positions that our government can appoint to, the ambassador to the United States of America. And the Prime Minister appointed somebody who had already been sacked from government several times because of judgment and behavioural issues. And then we find out now he hadn't cleared security vetting. This whole thing is just a sorry series of catastrophically poor judgment from the Prime Minister, and he should go.
When is it when the Lib Dems have decided to turn on the Prime Minister? Because it is stark, isn't it? Watching PMQs the last few weeks, we've had Sir Ed Davey backing the Prime Minister, saying the Prime Minister is right on this issue, the Prime Minister is right on that issue. I imagine with an eye to a coalition after the next general election. And now we have the Lib Dems reporting the Prime Minister to an ethics advisor, talking about reporting him to the Privileges Committee, calling on him to resign in this whole sorry saga when it came to Peter Mandelson. And as you were saying, there's been red flags from the very beginning about his appointment. At what point have you decided to turn on him?
So I think Ed Davey's absolutely right to support the Prime Minister's decision not to follow Donald Trump into his crackpot activities in Iran. An illegal war in Iran would not have been the right thing to send British troops in, to send any of our British military in. So we very much support the Prime Minister's decision there. What we cannot support, and what we've called out throughout this whole sorry saga, is the Prime Minister's judgment when it comes to Peter Mandelson. We want the Prime Minister of our country to do well, whoever they are, because we want our country to do well. And that's why we care so much when people get it wrong. And that's why standards and propriety and ethics should be upheld to the highest standards. And so that is why we're calling out the Prime Minister's catastrophic errors of judgment and saying that the time has come, he should go.
One final question, if you don't mind. The Prime Minister has time and time again said that nobody in Number 10 knew about this story. However, David Maddox, the political editor at The Independent, who wrote a story 7 months ago, in fact, one of your colleagues, I believe it was Rachel Gilmore, stood up in the House of Commons and talked about this story in front of government ministers. Is it really plausible that nobody knew?
Really difficult to believe how this was not known at the very highest level. There will be lots of talk today, and I saw that there was a release from Number 10 over the weekend trying to explain that the Foreign Office Permanent Secretary could have told ministers had he wanted to. This whole throwing civil servants under the bus just won't wash. The buck stops with the Prime Minister. And that's why we're calling for him to go, because he's repeatedly shown such catastrophically poor judgment that he should not continue as the Prime Minister.
OK, Lisa Smart, really good to see you again on GB News Breakfast. Thank you so much for your time.
All right.
Lots of you saying
yes,
you'd like to see Lisa Smart for Lib Dem leader.
Yes, Mike says Lisa Smart for Lib Dem leader. I mean, you know, people want, I think the British public are so desperate for some common sense, aren't they?
Yeah, and straight talking.
Straight talking. We love straight talking politicians because when we put questions to politicians, we want them to give you the answers. That is what we're here to do.
Lots of you are a fan of Lisa.
Clearly so. There you go. Should we have a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom?
Yes, let's. The US has intercepted an Iranian-flagged cargo ship in the Gulf as part of its naval blockade. That's according to President Trump. The US president said the ship was seized after failing to respond to a warning to stop. Iran has labelled it a violation of the ceasefire and has vowed to retaliate.
And the government has announced a new complaint system to make it easier to report universities that fail to protect free speech. The Office for Students says it will run a first-of-its-kind scheme for university members to raise concerns. The new regulations are set to be introduced in June.
And we love this story, don't we, Alex?
We do.
Paddington Bear's Platinum Jubilee Tea Party with the late Queen Elizabeth II has been recreated to commemorate what would have been her 100th birthday, which is going to be tomorrow.
So wonderful.
A limited edition teddy bear is pictured alongside Paddington, resembling the comedy sketch with the Queen and Paddington that marked her Jubilee in 2022.
When you said 2022 there, Ellie, it feels like we're still there. I don't know, to you, 2026 doesn't feel real with everything that's happened in the last 4 years. That's all it's been.
I know, it was an easy time, it was a simpler time. You look back on that and you just think, wow, it feels like a lifetime ago, but just yesterday.
And the Queen, the late Queen, should I say, that tribute to her, I think is beautiful. It's so... That was such a special moment between her and Paddington. Everyone remembers it.
It's so fitting, it's so British, it's actually quite emotional, which may sound silly to feel emotional about a bear, but she was the best of us, wasn't she? We miss her very much.
Certainly did.
And it hasn't been the same since, has it?
No, it really hasn't.
Let's be honest.
It's literally all gone. It's all gone downhill since she left us, hasn't it? That's what it feels like to me. I don't know if you agree with us. gbnews.com/yours. So we love reading out your comments here on Breakfast, so please keep them coming in thick and fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's get a check on the weather with Honor Krizik.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a day of sunshine and showers ahead. Still plenty of warm weather across the south, though feeling that little bit cooler across many eastern areas. And it's quite a chilly start for all out there this morning. A patchy frost in places. Some mist and fog, though this should clear away fairly quickly through this morning. And a dry and bright start for many areas. Some fair weather cloud eventually starting to build up. This thick enough to produce some showers by the afternoon. And fairly unsettled across Scotland today with some spells of rain. This could turn a little heavy at times, and even amongst the showers we could potentially see some heavier downpours. But across the south, across Northern Ireland, still mostly dry, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius. Now, to finish off the day across Scotland, fair amount of cloud around, any rain turning more showery in nature, but still could turn a little heavy at times. Some scattered showers across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England still could continue through into this evening, and fairly similar elsewhere across England and Wales. But once again, across the very far south, a dry and fine end to the day, and mostly light winds as well through the course of this evening. Now, there could still be some showers at times, moving their way westwards across the country, perhaps banding together at times as well, just bringing some longer spells of rain. But we'll also see a mixture of some dry spells, some clearer skies, and where we see any prolonged clear skies, that's where once again it could turn a bit chilly with a rural frost in places, but perhaps not turning quite as chilly as it did last night. Most towns and cities around the mid-single figures. Now, first thing on Tuesday, we'll still continue to see some showers for a time, but quite a keen easterly breeze starting to pick up. That should move away any showers, and actually through the course of the day it should be mostly dry and bright, a return of plenty of sunshine across the country. But in that easterly wind, things will start to feel that bit chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts and across the south where we could see quite a keen easterly breeze. But in any sheltered spots, once again, feeling warm in the sunshine.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
All right, still to come.
In Portsmouth, struggling single mum Val is battling serious debt. Up the coast in Bournemouth, workaholic Steve Bolton is worth millions.
In less than an hour, we're going to meet the two viral stars of the latest series of Rich House, Poor House. It's a great series, isn't it?
It is a really good series. I love stuff like it's such a good social experiment on the country.
That's exactly what it is, yeah. So somebody with a really big house who's really, really rich swaps house with someone who's not doing so well, should we put it that way, and then they just live each other's life for a week.
It's great.
And these two have ended up being the best of friends, so we're going to hear about their story next. Well, in an hour, actually, yes.
Yeah, we are. But first, should politics ever come before family? This is, again, another really interesting one because the country is so
divided, yeah.
You know, do you avoid... Let us know what happens at your household and your say, by the way. Do you avoid talking about politics at the dinner table? That's interesting, and it'll be coming up next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, this is a good one here. Lindy Lou says, we have to not talk politics in our house. Hubby's Conservative, I'm Reform. He thinks Trump's a something word I can't use. I think he's brilliant. Goodness knows how we've lasted over 40 years. Lol. Lindy Lou, love it. And it's a theme. Look, it's a theme across so many households across the country.
Just don't talk about politics. Have you ever fallen out with a family member over politics? Well, it's more common than you might think.
That's right. A recent poll found that Britons are more divided than during Brexit times, and families are far from immune.
So we thought we would debate that this morning. Should politics ever come before family?
Well, joining us now is Councillor Kelly Oliver Dougal and political commentator and former Liberal Democrat councillor Matthew Holbert. Good morning, both of you. Good morning. Matthew, let's start with you. Have you ever fallen out with anyone over your political persuasions in your family?
Well, I think it can be really difficult, can't it? Morning, Alex and Ellie. Great to be with you this morning. I think it can be really difficult, and I think quite often it is best just not to talk about it. As you might imagine, when I'm at family gatherings, I'm probably the most small L liberal person in the room, almost certainly. And that means that, yeah, if there's gets onto politics, I can sometimes find myself kind of muting my views because I think, I don't want to cause a row here. I don't want to cause division. These are people that I love. We may just not agree on politics, and that's fine because we live in a democracy. But I think quite often it's me muting my views rather than the other people. And so is that fair, really? Not sure.
Kelly, let's bring you in. Should politics ever come before family? Do you find that you have to mute your views sometimes around your family?
I don't think it should come between family, but I think if you actually fall out with your family over politics, there's probably something else going on as well. Because, this family relationships are really important. Humans have evolved to live in families and tribes, and cancellation and not speaking to each other, that's a form of emotional abuse.
Can I put this to you, Matthew? Cattle Dog, one of our members here, wrote in and said, the wartime generation rightly said, do not discuss politics, religion or sex. So true. And money was another thing they were told not to. Money. This is an old school. Have we lost that? Because it can be very divisive and some things should just be kept private, perhaps.
It can be very divisive, and you reflect back to Brexit, which, as you won't be surprised to hear, was something I very much opposed. I remember that day in 2016 when I felt literally in mourning at the loss of our membership of the European Union.
Well, I was celebrating, Matthew.
I know you were, Alex. I know you absolutely loved it. And yeah, I mean, I had relatives who were very supportive of Brexit, and of course, for a while afterwards, it made it really difficult. But you do just have to talk about other things. You have to talk about the weather, or you have to talk about the pet dog, or you have to talk about people's health, anything but politics.
Kelly, this new poll has found that Britain is more divided now than it was during the Brexit referendum. Does that surprise you?
No, not really. I think it depends where you get your news. So a lot of the older generation still watch the BBC and mainstream news, whereas, my generation and have found the internet and found YouTube and found GB News. And I think that's quite polarising because they don't always see the other side, particularly if they're watching mainstream news. Whereas, GB News has both sides. The mainstream news doesn't always portray both sides.
Matthew, can I put this to you? Is it healthy? Is it a healthy exercise for us to talk about politics with our family and friends? Because actually, more and more, as we talk about social media, people are getting into echo chambers and vacuums, and that can actually be a little bit radicalising sometimes. Is it a good thing for us to be challenging each other?
I think it is, but I think you just have to be careful, don't you? Because these are people that you love, that you want the best for, that you want to remain in relationship with, and it's all too easy to say something which causes upset, and then there's a problem. So, I mean, my family know that I'm liberal on pretty much everything. In a sense, we don't need to have the conversation. They already know that. We can talk about family things. Look, if I really felt the need to, I would, but I'd try and do so in a way which said, look, I know you may disagree, and that's fine, but we can still have this conversation. I think it'd have to be done like that.
It's about disagreeing, isn't it, politely, and disagreeing with respect, which I think many people have lost the art of doing, haven't they? But you two haven't. Kelly and Matthew, thank you so much. Really good to see you. Thank you.
It's such a great debate, and I kind of go back. I remember my grandmother said to me, "Never discuss politics. Never discuss politics."
It's probably very wise, isn't it?
I think it might be.
Avoid lots of arguments.
I think it's impossible. We do it for a living, unfortunately, so it's really hard for me to avoid doing it. But there you go.
Somebody's made the point. Imagine being at Claire and Nigel's house.
That's right. That was Nanny Lulu. We love
Nanny Lulu. Yes, Claire and Nigel's house. I mean, they're completely opposite on everything, aren't they? But they're very much in love. So there you go. It can happen.
It can work indeed. All right, coming up, Paul's in the room. What have you got for us, Paul?
I tell you what, my grandma said never discuss sport, ever. So, I'm not going to. I tell you, well, apart from this, the bottom of the Premier League and the top's getting very, very interesting and very worrying for some of us as well. I'll have more in a second.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A985 remains completely closed in both directions between Rosyth and Cairneyhill due to a serious road traffic collision, with no reopening time currently confirmed by authorities. On the M27 eastbound, lane closures for essential road management between junctions 4 and 5 are expected to ease from around 8:30 this morning, improving traffic flow considerably. Additionally, train passengers should anticipate disruptions on the Elizabeth line at London Paddington, and Great Western Railway services are facing delays there too, so please allow extra travel time for your journey. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB loyalty points are here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on your say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB loyalty points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
Welcome back. It's sports time. Paul Coixo with us. Morning.
I sounded a little nervous, didn't I, when I mentioned the...
Yeah. Well, you have a right to be.
I was a bit slurry and nervous.
You have a right to be. It's a bit scary.
It is a bit scary.
You're in a scary place.
So I'll talk about the Premier League. What's going on at the top of the Premier League first? Because Manchester City beat Arsenal 2-1 last night, or yesterday afternoon anyway. So Arsenal have been top since October, and it's getting very, very tight. Now, Man City have a game in hand. They're 3 points behind. If they beat Burnley on Wednesday, they will draw level on points with Arsenal, and then it's pretty much a shootout. They both got 5 games left each. Have Arsenal blown it? Are Manchester City, I'll do it now. Man City going to win the title. It looks like more Man City than Arsenal at the moment. But I tell you, it's not over. It's not over yet. Anyway, Mikel Arteta. We saw him in the week. Giving it the big one before the... That's the technical term, by the way.
The big one.
They're giving it the big one. Just before the game of the Champions League. And he said he's going to bring fire, he's going to do this. And anyway, I think here comes that word again, a slightly more demure Mikel Arteta after the game, but maybe confident. This is what he had to say after the match last night.
We came here to win the game. I think the message was clear from 3 days before. We prepared to do that, to take the game to the areas that we believe we could win it. We certainly done that, even though we started the game with a goal down, and psychologically we had to play with that. We've done it. So we proved that that we are there. But the reality is in the two boxes, today was a difference, and that's what decided the game.
See, it's all psychological. The word's bottle. This is the one that's been thrown around. Have they got the bottle? Are they going to blow it? What's going to happen? So anyway, 5 games to go. It is, yeah. Everton were beaten by Liverpool in the last minute at the Hill Dickinson Stadium yesterday. Aston Villa beat Sunderland 4-3. Just a crazy game. Yeah. Nearly threw it away. Villa were 3-1 up. Then Sunderland come back with a couple of goals, and then Aston Villa scored the winner right at the very end. So that was really exciting. Nottingham Forest, not good news for Spurs or West Ham. Yeah. They beat Burnley 4-1.
It's a good win.
And also even worse for Spurs, because Morgan Gibbs-White, who they were going to sign, goes and scores a hat-trick for Nottingham Forest, which is almost rubbing Spurs' nose in it. So, at the bottom, I mean, we'll talk to Clive Allen, who's going to come on in an hour, because there's a huge game tonight, which is West Ham against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, my dad's sitting on the edge of his seat tonight.
See, and I'll not lie, I'm going to be wanting Crystal Palace. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I've got no choice.
Puts the pressure on West Ham, doesn't it, for Spurs to come back a little bit, give a bit of breathing room?
There's 1 point between them at the moment. West Ham have a game in hand, which is tonight. So if Crystal Palace win, then it will be for a bite. Anyway, so Clive Allen played for Crystal Palace. He played for West Ham. He also played for Spurs. He also played for Manchester City and was even at Arsenal for a bit as well. Although there's a very short space of time. So he'll cover all things very shortly. And finally, Matt Fitzpatrick. I want to mention him. Great golfer, and I do love it when you get Brits shutting up the Americans. I'm sorry, but
they are very loud.
You know when you get the USA, and then it's like, well, this is what Matt Fitzpatrick did. So he's playing in the tournament, which is the RBC Heritage Tournament. And anyway, they've done it at the Ryder Cup. And look, we're going to see this. Just look at the ear. Just watch him touch his ear. As he walks away, he's put the final. Now, the reason he's done that is because they were giving him a terrible time. It was all this USA shouts, trying to put him off. It went to a playoff round, playoff hole. And look at this. And by the way, what do you think about the fancy jacket?
Love it.
See, the thing is, when you win the Masters, you get the green jacket at the RBC Heritage. It used to be a yellow jacket when they started it, but then decided we'll go with the tartan jacket. And it's very tasteful, isn't it? So they all wear the tartan jacket. So he won the tartan jacket. I think he'll probably be more happy with the cash, to be honest with you. Anyway, well done.
Love it.
Matt Fitzpatrick, he's won 3 tournaments recently, so well done to him.
Well done to him.
Brilliant
Fabulous.
stuff, Paul. Thank you very much.
Woody.
Pleasure.
You've got a lovely tartan tie on today. For people listening on the radio, he's wearing a lovely...
What tournament did you win?
It's my Armstrong clan tartan.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, so nice.
It is my.
Is that McArmstrong? Or
it's just Armstrong.
Just Armstrong.
Just Armstrong.
Okay,
fine.
Yeah.
And I said to you this morning,
I can get into the history of it all, but it will bore people to death.
And I said it's lovely, and I said, is it wool? And it is.
It's wool. It is.
Of course it is.
It's very
lovely
nice.
wool.
It's wool. All right, look, still to come. The Conservatives are claiming crime is costing £90 million a day under the Labour government. Is it true?
Yeah, we're going to go through that and much more in the papers with Dawn Neeson and Chris Akabusi. That's up next.
Where's
Chris
Dawn?
is there. Where is Dawn?
It's not such a bad thing, is it?
She's hiding from the West Ham game, I think, tonight, isn't she?
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Anyway, we'll find her in the next few minutes, won't we?
We will indeed. Loads to go through in the papers, indeed.
But first, here's your forecast across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. Some showers or longer spells of rain across parts of Europe, otherwise mostly sunny, feeling warm in the sunshine too. Some showery outbreaks expected across Italy, parts of Greece and also Albania, but as we move towards central Mediterranean, mostly dry, lots of sunshine. And further out to the west, an area of low pressure will swing in some clouds, some longer spells of rain across Portugal, western parts of Spain, also some showers affecting the Canary Islands, but into next week mostly dry, sunny and feeling warm in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
School uniforms are much more than clothing. They are about signalling a seriousness
about learning and behaviour, particularly for older children. I think it is a little bit different with the youngest ones, where we want to encourage them to run around, burn off some energy at break time. But generally, this slide towards casualness in our society, and I think this does reflect that a little bit, that everybody should be comfortable, comfort and sort of casualness should be the order of the day at all times. And I actually think that there's a time and a place for that. Probably on your sofa at home, it's it's when you're lounging around. But when you're at school, wearing a smarter uniform as you get older in particular does create this air of respecting your environment, respecting yourself, and respecting what you're there to do.
The problem is it can't be a one-size-fits-all. I went to a boarding school where they had a very traditional uniform, but even I have to concede that the environment in which I was educated, it was conducive to following the rule of law. There was a hierarchical system where there's the headmistress, there's the teacher, there's the academic staff, there's the pastoral staff, and everyone follows the law. That's the way that institution worked. But that governmental system doesn't work with every kind of school. And what you also have to take into account is that listen to educators. They are there with the children 24/7 when they are in school. And this discussion on a flexibility towards uniform is reflected by what is best for the children. You want children to not be lethargic. You want them to not be sedentary. They need to be more active. They have to have the kind of uniform that makes that easier for them because they feel freer in those uniforms.
GB News, the People's Channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, we're causing trouble now.
We
People
are.
asking if you're wearing a kilt.
Yeah, well, Castle Dog says, why on earth is asking whether Alex will be wearing a kilt suit under pending approval? Some people might interpret it the wrong way, Castle Dog, but it's a very kind thing for you to ask. I have worn a kilt before. Maybe I will wear it.
Maybe you will again. Maybe you will again.
Yeah.
You're wearing a kilt just because you've got.
Because he's got tartan tie on.
My Armstrong
That's it, Armstrong clan.
It is, my Scottish roots.
And it's 100% wool.
Right. It is.
Anyway, we're talking about that.
Should we talk about the papers, though? Because they are actually far more interesting than my tie.
No, they're really not.
Should we start with the Mail?
Yes, it focuses on the Prime Minister ahead of his address to the Commons later this afternoon with the headline, Day Starmer has to stand up and take the blame.
Indeed. The Telegraph claims that Sir Keir Starmer knew there were red flags attached to Peter Mandelson before appointing him as US Ambassador.
The Times leads on the same story, claiming Lord Mandelson had the top level of security clearance.
And finally, The Express reports that crime costs UK taxpayers £90 million a day under Labour.
Well, joining us to go through all of that and much more is Olympian Chris Ackerby.
Hey, well done, guys.
Former Olympian and former editor of the Daily Star.
Former
and news presenter Dawn Neeson.
No, just former.
Morning, you two.
Morning.
Dawn, can we actually touch on the Daily Mail, in which it says, will it be the day where Sir Keir Starmer finally takes the blame? Do you think it could be that day?
No, I think there's a few more civil servants to sack yet, isn't there?
So your count is three.
He's got 3 at the moment. We know that our Dame Antonia Romeo in his office, he appointed, she knew, Cabinet Secretary, she was informed of the crucial documents about Peter Mandelson in March. She did not tell her boss. According to obviously Keir Starmer. He said nobody told him. So, hold on, Ollie Robbins didn't tell him and knew. Ollie Robbins has been sacked from his job at the Foreign Office. Antonia Romeo knew, but she hasn't been sacked. So there's, again, some discrepancy here about Keir Starmer's behaviour. I think what's going to happen today, he will stand up in the House and he will say pretty much what he has said so far, that he is furious, that nobody told him, what on earth's going on, which begs the question, our Prime Minister is either
lying or he's incompetent. And to be honest with you, I don't want either of those running the country. Yeah, potentially both of them.
Yeah, there's so many questions to be asked here, Chris, because the key thing that the Liberal Democrats, we had Lisa Smart on this morning, who's the Cabinet Office spokesperson for the Lib Dems, and she's saying that the Lib Dems are pushing for a privileges committee, an ethics investigation into the Prime Minister. Now, that didn't go very well for Boris Johnson because he maintained up until the Privileges Committee that he was innocent. The Privileges Committee found him guilty. And that is the big difference. They can really get into all the paperwork and dig deep. That would be a worry for Sir Keir.
Yeah, I mean, Sir Keir is never convincing, or very seldom convincing, when he's trying to defend himself or a particular scenario. He's stuttering, there's lack of passion, and in this particular instance, you know, when you think that he's supposed to be a lawyer, he's at the highest office in the legal bar, and the lack of forensic questioning, thought processing, the sort of inquisitive mind, the idea that he wouldn't ask the question is absolutely everything. OK, I understand he's passed, but is there anything I should be wary of? And certainly once he went back to Parliament to try to defend the scenario. So, yeah, I think when he gets into the scenario where you've got this form that you was talking about, he may come unstuck.
The thing is, he cannot stand up in front of the House, which he has done, and say Peter Mandelson passed security vetting, and then later say, I didn't know, nobody told me. That is misleading Parliament. Inadvertently or not, he has misled Parliament. So what he should do is stand up and admit that he misled Parliament. Whether he will or not, whether he'll actually have the spherical objects to do that is another matter.
What we can expect, though, is he's going to likely argue today that this is all the fault of Sir Ollie Robbins. But he's not going away quietly, is he, Dawn? I mean, the Times has reported this morning. No, and many people wouldn't. He believes he did nothing wrong. He's had a long career. He's very respected. Yeah. May not agree with everybody's politics who watch GB News. But he is consulting lawyers, we understand.
And you can't blame him. You really can't blame him.
There's talk of an employment tribunal.
Yeah, and I also think, I mean, Ollie's direct boss at the time was David Lammy, who was Foreign Secretary. I do think David Lammy has questions to answer here.
And on David Lammy, Dawn, do you know what? I was saying this to Lisa Smart, MP, earlier on. The problem is there's a discrepancy. He backed Mandelson at the start. He was very praising of Mandelson's appointment. But then afterwards, when the whole scandal erupted, he then said, without any evidence from what I can see, that he was the Prime Minister about appointing Mandelson, and then backtracked on it again. So actually, I think he's got a lot of questions to ask, and it begs the question, if he was the top dog in the Foreign Office at the time, which he was, and the Prime Minister has said time and time again, the buck stops with whoever that is, why has he not gone?
Well, quite, and it was also David Lammy, let's not forget, demanded the resignation of our Tory Home Secretary Amber Rudd at the time during the Windrush scandal in 2018, saying she had lost control of what was going on. Well, hello. I would suggest if you were in charge of the Foreign Office, you lost control as well at the time.
Hoist and petard comes to mind.
Exactly.
Yeah. Should we have a look at something else, shall we? What else we got on here?
Well, the one I like here is about, when I say like, this death linked to fake drugs for anxiety and insomnia. The reason being is that in this current sort of cost of living crisis, people are driven to find cheaper alternatives to standard drugs that you can find in your pharmacy. And also, if you do have some sort of a social media account, when you do view things like this, you get a proliferation
of the
algorithm. Correct. And what this article in the Times is saying, that in particular this anxiety and insomnia drug, 65 people in the post-mortems highlighted the presence of, and I had to try to spell this phonetically, ethyl bromazole, which affects brain and nervous systems. And I think really it's just a public warning, because certainly, personally, nothing as serious as this, but, you know, I bought things off the internet, and you sort of, I don't know, it's obviously, you sort of trust, you think, oh, well, of course, if it's available for sale, it must be regulated, tested, etc. But this is an example, no, it's not.
That's a very good point.
So just really be careful what you buy off the internet. And I know it might cost a little bit more, but going to your pharmacy and buying it off the shelf is obviously a safe option.
It's not worth taking the risk, is it?
No.
Dawn, let's have a look at the Express, shall we? This is unbelievable. Crime is costing £90 million a day under this government?
Yeah, under Labour, and you won't be surprised, this is a research survey done by the Conservative Party. What I'm not clear about this is, obviously, we know crime costs money. We know crime costs money to police. The judge system, the prison system. We know that all costs money. I'm not entirely sure where these figures come from. 33 billion a year. This is Tory research. Sex offenders, violent robbers and thieves, land taxpayers with a £90 million daily bill for police probes, NHS care and court cases. It's a story that is like, yeah, fine, it gives you a good headline, but I think if you drill down into it, there's no real where are these statistics come from? Yeah, but crime costs money, and it is going up under Labour, so that's the basis.
Crime does also disturb the local community, obviously. So a local, well-branded, small convenience store, I observed it getting raided by a group of, I mean, they were travellers in this occasion, and but it's now moved out of the location. Yeah. It's now moved out of the location, and so actually it is affecting directly the local communities.
And we know shoplifting costs us £2 billion on the high street every year. It is an epidemic, isn't it? And we saw the scenes from parts of the country that have been kids running around completely lawless. It's just not Britain, is it? It's not the Britain that we expect to live in when we pay all this tax and all this stuff. It's falling apart. It seems someone's got to get a grip of it, I think. All right, you two, we will see you again very shortly, won't we, for some more papers. But now it's time for a great British giveaway. Just 2 weeks left to grab your chance to win our biggest prize, Ellie.
Yeah, it's a goodie, isn't it? 25 grand in tax-free cash and a brand new 4-berth camper van. Put it together, £92,000 it's worth. Nice. Here are all of the details that you need.
There's just 2 weeks remaining to grab your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. Just in time for summer, you could be driving away with your very own 4-berth camper van. This Benny Van 122 could give you the perfect getaway this year, as it comes complete with all of the features you'd expect of a vehicle worth over £67,000. A built-in kitchen and bathroom, dedicated living areas, and panoramic opening rear doors. Plus, you can drive it on your existing license. We'll also give you an incredible £25,000 in tax-free cash. Lines close on the 1st of May, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, we are so excited for the next half an hour, aren't we?
We are.
Because we are meeting some stars of Rich House, Poor House. Great series if you've never watched it. Somebody with a really big house and someone really rich swaps places with somebody who's not doing so well in life, and they learn from each other. We're going to be meeting 2 stars of that in about half an hour's time.
And the chairman of the Conservative Party is joining us next to tell us about that Prime Minister's big day today.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a day of sunshine and showers ahead. Still plenty of warm weather across the south, though feeling that little bit cooler across many eastern areas. And it's quite a chilly start for all out there this morning. A patchy frost in places, some mist and fog, though this should clear away fairly quickly through this morning. And a dry and bright start for many areas. Some fair weather cloud eventually starting to build up, this thick enough to produce some showers by the afternoon. And fairly unsettled across Scotland today with some spells of rain. This could turn a little heavy at times, and even amongst the showers we could potentially see some heavier downpours. But across the south, across Northern Ireland, still mostly dry, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius. Now, to finish off the day across Scotland, fair amount of cloud around, any rain turning more showery in nature, but still could turn a little heavy at times. Some scattered showers across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England still could continue through into this evening, and fairly similar elsewhere across England and Wales. But once again, across the very far south, a dry and fine end to the day, and mostly light winds as well through the course of this evening. Now, there could still be some showers at times, moving their way westwards across the country, perhaps banding together at times as well, just bringing some longer spells of rain. But we'll also see a mixture of some dry spells, some clearer skies, and where we see any prolonged clear skies, that's where once again it could turn a bit chilly with a rural frost in places, but perhaps not turning quite as chilly as it did last night. Most towns and cities around the mid-single figures. Now, first thing on Tuesday, we'll still continue to see some showers for a time, but quite a keen easterly breeze starting to pick up. That should move away any showers, and actually through the course of the day it should be mostly dry and bright, a return of plenty of sunshine across the country. But in that easterly wind, things will start to feel that bit chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts and across the south, where we could see quite a keen easterly breeze. But in any sheltered spots, once again, feeling warm in the sunshine.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A985 remains closed both ways between Rosyth and Cairneyhill after a road traffic collision. On the M4 eastbound, there is heavy congestion between junction 28 at Tredegar Park and junction 23A at Mega. On the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 30 and junction 29 at Thurrock, a broken down vehicle has one lane blocked, with delays of around 10 minutes, clearing after 8:15 this morning. And on the trains, there is disruption on the Elizabeth line and Great Western Railway at London Paddington. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
There's just 2 weeks remaining to grab your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. Just in time for summer, you could be driving away with your very own 4-berth camper van. We'll also give you an incredible £25,000 in tax-free cash. Lines close on the 1st of May, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning. The Prime Minister comes out fighting for his political life.
Yes, a matter of hours until Sir Keir Starmer addresses the House of Commons on what is going to be a furious day for them.
While the shadow of Peter Mandelson looms large over Westminster this morning as Starmer's day of reckoning arrives. Earlier we spoke to Liberal Democrat Cabinet Office spokesperson Lisa Smart.
He has shown catastrophically poor judgment throughout this whole sorry Peter Mandelson scandal.
Dark day for the United States. The nation's deadliest mass shooting for over 2 years leaves 8 children dead.
Counter-terror police investigate a series of arson attacks on Jewish communities across London, with concerns that Iranian proxies could be responsible. In the past few minutes, a 17-year-old boy and a 19-year-old man have been arrested over the arson attack at Kenton United Synagogue.
In Portsmouth, struggling single mum Val is battling serious debt. Up the coast in Bournemouth, workaholic Steve Bolton is worth millions.
And we're meeting 2 polar opposites who swapped houses for 1 week, and they both say it changed their lives. Stay tuned to meet the latest stars of Rich House Poor House.
And in sport this morning, it looks like advantage Manchester City in the Premier League title race as they beat Arsenal 2-1 at the Etihad. Nottingham Forest pull away from the relegation zone as West Ham play Crystal Palace tonight. And we'll be joined by former Spurs, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Manchester City striker Clive Allen, who'll be discussing all.
Hello there, good morning. A chilly start out there with some mist and fog in places, brightening up today, but also some showers this afternoon. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
Good morning, it's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Yes, it has just gone 8 o'clock in what is Judgment Day for the Prime Minister.
Yes, in just under 8 hours' time, Sir Keir Starmer will face the House of Commons to set the record straight over the vetting process of Peter Mandelson.
But can the Prime Minister cling on to his job? He is, of course, facing mounting pressure to resign amid calls for a Commons inquiry into whether he misled Parliament.
Let's hear now from the chairman of the Conservative Party, Kevin Hollinrake. Good morning, Mr Hollinrake. Thank you for joining us today. Of course, it is going to be a seismic day in British political history today because Keir Starmer will be addressing the House of Commons to seemingly correct the record. Will you be joining forces with other parties to have this vote of no confidence that your party leader, Kemi Badenoch, has mentioned several times?
Well, we've led the way on this right from the start, of course. Kemi Badenoch brought this to Parliament in September last year about the issues with Mandelson, and which led to his resignation. And we followed this all the way through. So if other parties want to support our efforts to hold the Prime Minister account for his terrible lack of judgment, appalling judgment, then they're welcome to do so. But Kemi Badenoch again will lead the charge on this in Parliament today, and we think the Prime Minister is not fit to lead this country and should resign.
So Kemi Badenoch has given the Prime Minister until Friday to release all the information about Mandelson's appointment as US Ambassador. She has then vowed to use every possible parliamentary procedure if Number 10 does not comply. What does she mean by that, and what would the Conservatives do if this deadline isn't met on Friday?
Well, it means a continuation of what we've done already. We've already forced Keir Starmer to release the information relating to Mandelson through something called a humble address, which is something we even got support from Labour backbenchers when he was trying to hide the information around Mandelson. So we just want him to publish the information. He still hasn't done that, and we still, as part of the story that was broken by The Guardian last week about Mandelson failing the vetting process, was also information saying that Keir Starmer sought to suppress the information relating to Mandelson's appointments and his vetting, which is contempt of Parliament. So yet again, Keir Starmer has been found wanting in terms of his honesty, in terms of his willingness to tell the public and Parliament what's going on. That's not appropriate. We'll use any device we can, and there are a number of different devices that we are considering to make sure that information comes to light.
Let's talk about the Liberal Democrats for a second, because they're calling for a Privileges Committee investigation into this. This is, of course, eventually what brought down your former Prime Minister and party leader, Boris Johnson. Is that not a more effective way to deal with the Prime Minister than a vote of no confidence, given that you won't have the numbers in Parliament to push it through?
I don't think we're in a position where we'll say exactly what we are going to do today, other than the fact we've forced Keir Starmer to come back to Parliament today through our pressure in Parliament and in terms of our wider publication around these kind of issues. So we'll keep putting the pressure on Keir Starmer. He is not fit to lead this country. We are clear about that. He should resign. He doesn't have the judgment or the backbone to lead this country. We'll keep putting pressure on him. I personally don't think he will resign, but he should do, of course. But we'll keep doing what we can to hold him to account, because clearly there are serious times out there. People are more worried about things like the cost of living and the issues we have in the Middle East than really what's going on in Parliament, perhaps. And we're keen to make sure that the Labour government does the right things in terms of controlling the cost of living and doing things like we've called for, such as implementing the cheap power plan, which could cut people's energy bills 20% overnight, including businesses and households. Those are the real things that people are worried about. But first and foremost, we've got to make sure we have a Prime Minister that can lead this country, that does have the backbone to lead this country. We'll keep putting the pressure on the Labour government to do the right thing.
Possible, Mr. Hollinrake, that Sir Keir Starmer stands up in the House today and he explains himself, that he puts the fault at the door of Sir Ollie Robbins, and that makes sense to everybody. Could that stick? Or is this just completely not plausible to you that he didn't know and nobody in Number 10 knew that Lord Mandelson had failed vetting?
Everybody knew what Peter Mandelson was like before he was appointed, even raised lots of eyebrows in politics and in the media. So for the Prime Minister suddenly to say, oh my God, it's everybody else's fault, is ludicrous. I mean, in opposition, of course, he was so sanctimonious, Keir Starmer, and indeed he was always talking about the fact he carries the can for his staff and these kind of things. Yeah. But everything, that clearly is not the case. We've seen Chris Wormald go, the Cabinet Secretary. We've seen his Chief of Staff go, Morgan McSweeney. We've now seen Ollie Robbins go. There wasn't a process around this, of course. I mean, Labour government talks about wrapping employers in red tape, and as soon as he's under pressure, of course, he just sacks somebody without process. And Ollie Robbins will come before Parliament at some point and tell his side of the story. But it's quite clear, I think, everybody knows that what Peter Mandelson was like. There's a due diligence report that the Prime Minister had, which said, we talked about his links with Epstein and China and Russia and all these things, yet still he wanted his man and did everything he could to make sure he got him. And I think Ollie Robbins is really, unfortunately, he's been caught in the crossfire. And really, this is about saving Keir Starmer's skin rather than doing what's the right thing to do.
Mr. Hollinrake, very briefly, if you don't mind, we want to talk about this Free Speech Act that you have got a press release out today. You brought this out. Now, the Education Secretary saying that universities could face up to £500,000 in fines, but they branded this previously a Tory hate speech charter. What do you make of that?
Well, we're under new leadership under Kemi Badenoch. Free speech is a fundamental tenet of our society, and we want to make sure that universities can't suppress free debate and make sure that people can go to universities and express their views properly. So, we think this is the right thing to do, and it's a sign of the new Conservative Party under new leadership under Kemi Badenoch.
OK, thank you so much. That's Chairman of the Conservative Party there, Kevin Hollinrake. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, joining us and listening across to all of that was GB News presenter Andrew Pearce. Andrew being quite animated in the corner there. What did you make of what Kevin Hollinrake had to say?
Well, look, the Tories can't get rid of him. They just don't have the numbers, and they probably will push a motion of no confidence, knowing they'll lose. But it will require all these Labour MPs to then support an embattled Prime Minister who most of them, deep in their hearts, know isn't giving us the whole picture and probably has to go. So it's for future. But I still think the Prime Minister will survive. He will make the point that under you're going to get all the detail. It's called the Constitutional Reform and Governance Act. It is for the Permanent Secretary at the Foreign Office, that was Sir Ollie Robbins, to decide on vetting, sensitive vetting cases. I think he probably didn't tell the Prime Minister. But the question is, why didn't this hotshot lawyer called Sir Keir Starmer think to ask, how did Peter Mandelson get on with his vetting? bearing in mind so many red flags have been raised before he got the job. He'd been warned by very many people in government and on the Parliamentary Labour Party, don't give him the job because of his links to Epstein. Why didn't he ask?
But was that intentional, Andrew? Is this plausible deniability?
Exactly that. And Ollie Robbins is going to say, in my view, tomorrow that do you remember Henry II? Did he not say, will anybody rid me of this turbulent priest? And they chopped off the head of the Archbishop of Canterbury, some of his knights. It's a similar concept. Ollie Robbins knew that the Prime Minister wanted Manson in that job. He made it happen. That's what civil servants do.
Andrew, can I put this to you? I had former Prime Minister Liz Truss on my show on Saturday evening, and she essentially said, actually, Starmer's right. The civil service do withhold information, and that unelected bureaucrats are essentially running the show, and the people we put into office are none the wiser. And actually, that Keir Starmer should be vindicated, and this also vindicates her.
I know exactly what she's saying, but the fact is the Prime Minister should push back against it, because he should have just said, I want to know, has he passed his vetting?
But is there a law there? Is there a law? Because this is one of the other minutiae here, isn't it?
It's how you interpret this 2010 Act.
Yes.
Constitutional Reform and Governance Act. Now, I was talking to David Davis, the Tory MP, who worked very closely with Ollie Robbins when he was Brexit Secretary. He says to me, they're misinterpreting this Act. Look, if a Prime Minister wants to know from a civil servant if somebody passed vetting to become ambassador to Washington, who really is going to say, I'm terribly sorry, Prime Minister, I'm not going to tell you. He didn't ask because he didn't want to know the answer.
Plausible deniability?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it won't wash, and it stinks to high heaven.
And we keep hearing more and more, don't we, about who actually knew within number 10.
Yeah.
We're hearing about Tim Allen, aren't we?
Yes,
so
well, he was...
Prime Minister's head of press.
We're talking in our programme to David Maddox, the independent political editor, who in September called number 10 and said, I've heard Manson failed his security vetting, told by Tim Allen, the then comms chief. That's not the case.
Who was in Downing Street.
He was in number 10.
You know, which
not
is
there
what,
now,
not what
of
the Prime
course.
Minister, yes.
Funny that, he's another one who's been thrown under a bus. But on what authority did he tell the media it's not true? Who was telling him that? Where did he get his information from?
Can we talk very, very briefly about David Lammy? His role in all of this. James Cleverly came out over the weekend and said there's no way the Foreign Secretary, which David Lammy was at the time, wouldn't have known about this.
And you have to remember, Ollie Robbins, line manager, was the Foreign Secretary.
Yes, exactly.
You're really saying over a cup of tea in the morning and it didn't come up in conversation. Hard to believe. But, of course, Lammy was one of those in the beginning who wanted Manson to do the job.
And then afterwards, what did he say when it all went down? He said he warned the Prime Minister.
Yeah,
this is the discrepancy I can't get my head around, Andrew, because he started off by being really supportive of the appointment. When it all started going wrong, somehow he said he warned the Prime Minister. There's no evidence to demonstrate that, of course.
Yeah.
It all looks a bit fishy.
But also, if you go back to last Wednesday when the Speaker, the Prime Minister was terrible in the chamber and then he had that bust-up with the Speaker. We now know the night before he'd found out about Manson. Why didn't he tell the Commons then?
It's a great question.
Why didn't he tell the Commons then? Why didn't he correct him Wednesday afternoon? He had all Thursday morning, all Thursday afternoon. We only found out because a newspaper broke the story.
And he knew that was coming.
He knew it was coming.
Knew it was coming.
It was going to leak.
And in the ministerial code, it points out very clearly you have to correct the record at the earliest opportunity.
Exactly. And the Cabinet Secretary, she's only been there 5 minutes. I can't lose her. Dem Antonio, she'd known for weeks. As had the senior civil servant at the Cabinet Office.
Crikey. Not looking good for the Prime Minister, is it, Andrew? Thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to hearing from David Maddox at 9:30 this morning as well on your show.
Now let's get a check on the weather with Arnold Krizik.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a day of sunshine and showers ahead. Still plenty of warm weather across the south, though feeling that little bit cooler across many eastern areas. And it's quite a chilly start for all out there this morning. A patchy frost in places. Some mist and fog, though this should clear away fairly quickly through this morning. And a dry and bright start for many areas. Some fair weather cloud eventually starting to build up. This thick enough to produce some showers by the afternoon. And fairly unsettled across Scotland today with some spells of rain. This could turn a little heavy at times, and even amongst the showers we could potentially see some heavier downpours. But across the south, across Northern Ireland, still mostly dry, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius. Now, to finish off the day across Scotland, fair amount of cloud around, any rain turning more showery in nature, but still could turn a little heavy at times. Some scattered showers across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England still could continue through into this evening, and fairly similar elsewhere across England and Wales. But once again, across the very far south, a dry and fine end to the day, and mostly light winds as well through the course of this evening. Now, there could still be some showers at times, moving their way westwards across the country, perhaps banding together at times as well, just bringing some longer spells of rain. But we'll also see a mixture of some dry spells, some clearer skies, and where we see any prolonged clear skies, that's where once again it could turn a bit chilly with a rural frost in places, but perhaps not turning quite as chilly as it did last night. Most towns and cities around the mid-single figures. Now, first thing on Tuesday, we'll still continue to see some showers for a time, but quite a keen easterly breeze starting to pick up. That should move away any showers, and actually through the course of the day, mostly dry and bright, a return of plenty of sunshine across the country, but in that easterly wind things will start to feel that bit chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts and across the south where we could see quite a keen easterly breeze, but any sheltered spots once again feeling warm in the sunshine.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us till to come. We're going to be speaking, well, we're not, but Quit is, to experts and Man City striker Clive Allen. That's going to be up next.
Yes, but first, we're meeting two polar opposites who swapped houses for 1 week, and they both say it changed their lives. That's next on GB News Breakfast with Ellie and Alex.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
And I also just want to talk a bit about St Sebastian, because he wasn't just, he's not a myth, he's not some fashion model. He was a captain of the Praetorian Guard, and this was a man of such immense courage that, as you said, after surviving an execution attempt, he walked back into the jaws of death to stand up for his beliefs. And so to take a man who was literally, and we have the historical facts on this, he was literally beaten to death for a specific objective truth, to reimagine him as this non-binary symbol of 21st century secularism, it's not creative, it's historical vandalism, and it's a complete erasure of this actual man's life. And it's also, I think, calculated act of institutional cowardice. We all know what's going on there. They know that the National Gallery knows that by attacking one religion, that we're kind of like a safe target. It's a double standard. Okay. They're brave when they think it's safe, and silence when it's not.
Well, on that, Tasneem, I'm very keen to get your views on this, obviously. I suppose there would be more consequences, and we can see that from things like Charlie Hebdo or Batley Grammar. If someone was to do an exhibit at the National Gallery that dared to poke fun at the Prophet Muhammad, for example. Your views?
Well, in terms of the law, this country has decided, in what it thinks of as wisdom, is to allow people to be quite as offensive as that, and offensive at prophets and gods and what have you. And generally, a population who, revere their god or their famous saints will be provoked into a backlash.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the cars. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB loyalty points are here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on your say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB loyalty points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
Welcome back to breakfast. It's 20 minutes past 8. Now, have you ever watched Rich House, Poor House? Fantastic show. Really good programme, we do recommend. But it's a show that's got a dedicated fan base. And for two guests that we're about to meet, it actually changes lives.
In Portsmouth, struggling single mum Val is battling serious debt.
I had bailiffs come in and I just went into a state of panic.
Up the coast in Bournemouth, workaholic Steve Bolton is worth millions, but his family's paid a heavy price.
I am separated. Would I do things differently? Absolutely.
Well, Valerie Mayer and Steve Bolton's perspectives were entirely changed after appearing on the show. Should we have a look at what happened?
I want to back your vision and your dream and your passion and your talent for business and support you financially up to a value of £100,000. We'd love to get some of the other family involved, and we just think all of you working together will just make an awesome team and we'll make it happen.
I'm crying again. Oh, gosh. Oh, dear. Thank you. Wow.
Well, Steve and Val join us now. Morning, you two. So good to see you together in the studio. And you two have such a close friendship now, don't you, Val?
Absolutely. We're like best friends. Truly.
How is this? Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? Because obviously from completely different worlds, financially speaking. But of course, that is the story for so many people, isn't it? It's just that coming together. How has it changed your life, Val?
Do you know what? Already it's changed my life for the better. You know, Steve and his family, absolutely amazing. You know, just you couldn't have asked for a better family to have swapped with, and you know how involved we are in each other's lives now. It's just, it's like a match made in heaven.
So, Steve, tell us, for people who haven't watched Rich House, Poor House, what is the premise of the show? Because it involves a swap of each other's lives, doesn't it?
Yep. You spend a week living each other's lives. You get the same budget that they have to live off. So we had, there was me, my son and daughter, and we had £51.93 for food, gas, electric, entertainment for the week.
How do you find that?
Very, very difficult. So entertainment was playing cards in the evening, going for a walk on the beach, feeding the ducks with breadcrumbs that we could find. Yeah, really very, very different.
And Val, for you as well, I mean, I was reading some of your story here. You've had a difficult time struggling on that income, haven't you? You've had bailiffs, as I think you mentioned before. What was it like then going the other way, living on a completely different income?
Absolutely fantastic. I felt like a princess. It was, do you know what? It was such a lovely week not having to worry about money. Yeah. And that was, you know, the biggest thing. You know,
what was your budget, Val?
£2,000.
Wow.
Me and Mum, we lived like queens, I'll tell you that. No, it was actually, you know, phenomenal. Like, just to see how other people live and to have such a budget like that, that's nearly a whole month's wages. Do you know what I mean? To have that for a week, didn't know what to do with ourselves, if I'm honest. I didn't know how we could even spend it in a week. I felt uncomfortable, you know, just buying stuff, and I was still in my budgeting kind of framework. But just to have it and see how other people live, it was actually a really good experience.
And that's the thing, is it, to see how other people live?
Yeah.
And Steve, it must have been such an eye-opening experience for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come from... My dad was from Lancashire and he was down the mine, but for my kids, you know, they have not seen that side of life. And just to spend that kind of quality time together, looking at the gas and electric meter, watching it go down. We actually ran out on the day before, so cold showers in the morning, queues for the bathroom. So, yeah, it was a come down to earth, come back to reality, let's say.
Indeed. And Val, I guess when you went through the experience, what was the biggest thing you took away from it? What was the one thing that you really stayed with you afterwards?
Do you know, the one thing that really stayed with me was, I think, more of my mindset. You know, just being in that position for a week really, you know, set my mind to focus to think, right, if I generally push myself and work hard, I can have a better life for me and my kids and my family. And I think, you know, like I said, living on that kind of budget and seeing how hard Steve has worked and from where he was to where he had been, it kind of made me think, yeah, like, I can do this. It just pushed me, you know, to just want to do more.
Inspirational.
Absolutely, so inspirational.
And Steve, so many people take part in this programme and they leave it there. They have their experience, they have their week, and that's the end of that. But you two clearly have this friendship, and you've also got plans to work together in the future, don't you?
Yeah, we're working together on a regular basis. So Val's been training up as a AI business coach. So we've been using AI. So we kind of teach that and mentor and coach people alongside the human element, you know, so it's kind of the human mentoring. So we've been exploring lots of business ideas, Zimbabwean cookbooks,
That
special
sounds great.
sauces, pop-ups.
Sounds really
all
yummy.
sorts of things. So, yeah, can't reveal too much at the moment, but there's going to be a bit of a launch later on this year. So,
Love to see it.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Indeed. Val, what advice, you know, you said you had a change in mindset. What advice would you give to people who might be in a similar position and might be stuck?
Do you know what? I think procrastination is a big part of it as well. You know, for me, I've always had ideas, and I've got a business degree as well. Do you know, I've had ideas like, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I didn't ever have a way of, I felt like I didn't have a way of doing it. I felt kind of stuck. So, you know, I would say to people, just keep going, like push through it. As much doubt as you might have, and if you feel like you can't do it, reach out to people, reach out, explore other things. There's so many opportunities out there that people are not aware of. You know, I didn't think I'd be on Rich House, Poor House. I applied, but look where I am now.
Got to be in it to win it.
You've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah.
So just keep going, just push through.
Oh, well, it's so lovely to meet you both. So good to see this friendship that has blossomed from the show. And best of luck with all the business endeavours still to come. And you've got a book out next week, haven't you, Steve?
Book coming out on Monday for free.
So best of
on my
luck.
website, yeah.
Amazing. You two are brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. And it's such an incredible experiment, I guess, really, and a social experiment. And so pleased to see it's changed both of your lives in such a positive way.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for
Come back
having
and
us.
talk to us.
Oh,
about your
absolutely.
business
We'll be
endeavours.
pitching you next time.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
We're
Stay
up to
tuned.
Zimbabwean food
Watch
anytime.
this space.
All right, listen, if you're travelling to work or school, we're going to get your traffic and travel update. Don't forget you can stay with us on digital and radio.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A985 remains shut both ways between Rosyth and Cairney Hill after a major road traffic collision. On the M4 eastbound, queues are building steadily from junction 28 at Tredegar Park through to junction 23A at Magor. Additionally, at junction 30 on the M25 anti-clockwise exit slip at Thurrock, a crash has resulted in one lane being closed. On the trains, there is significant disruption on the Elizabeth line at London Paddington, plus ongoing Great Western Railway issues at Paddington and between Gloucester and Swindon. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
All right, sports coming up next, and it looks like advantage to Man City in the Premier League title race. Paul Coyte is going to be talking us through the drama of the Premier League table next. This is GB News Breakfast with Ellie and Alex.
Bowl. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's Sports Time. Paul Coates here with us. Oh, just before that, actually, can we just read a few of these really lovely views, just because they're really lovely?
We got one here. Such good advice, RE procrastination and seeking support. Congratulations. Lovely story. Watch this space.
Very nice. And Alan's been in touch saying all of the bad news around it is actually so lovely to have a good news story.
It is.
There you go.
You know, there is a lot. It's very heavy at the moment, so it is good to just break it up a little bit sometimes, isn't it?
It is.
Are you referring to Manchester City beating Arsenal? Is that the good news story you were talking about?
Well, I was about to say, the good news ends there, really, doesn't it? Because
well, we don't know.
So
it's just all a bit of a worry. I tell you, the good thing
I'm a bit worried.
Well, the exciting thing is that the Premier League is exciting for a change. At the top, we don't know who's going to win. We've got an idea who's going to go down, but we're not too sure yet. So I thought of someone that we need to speak to. So I'm thinking a player who's played for Manchester City and was at Arsenal for a little bit, and also played for Tottenham Hotspur and Crystal Palace and West Ham, who play tonight at the bottom. Our great friend, the legendary striker, Clive Allen. Morning, Clive.
Good morning, everyone.
Listen, great to see you, Clive. Top and bottom, you know, we'll start with the top. And Manchester City and Arsenal. Now, you had said to me, and I don't know whether it was on here, but you definitely said they haven't won anything yet. I remember the words that you'd said about Arsenal. They were 9 points clear. Everybody's saying they're going to run away with the Premier League. They're going to win 4 trophies this season. It could end up being nothing at all. So what did you make on yesterday, and what did we learn from that?
I just think it's the wonder of the Premier League. It really was. Obviously, as Pep said, it was a must-win game for Manchester City in their hunt to chase down Arsenal, who have been absolutely incredible up to the last couple of weeks. Obviously, an FA Cup semi-final defeat to Southampton, a couple of Premier League defeats, and all of a sudden it was a big game, and it was actually, I thought, a really, really good close game. Arsenal didn't play poorly, but City just came through, and I think it just shows the strength of City, the experience of Pep Guardiola and his team, and the fragility of Arsenal at this moment in time, which is probably the worst time of the season for Arsenal to find a little bit of a blip.
It's interesting, the amount of Arsenal fans I've spoken to, and there's not many, but there is a few that have been saying, oh, you know, we're going to do this, and now seem to be thinking, you know, we're a little bit worried now. It's understandable, though. I'm not even going to be saying, oh, there's no bottle and all this sort of talk, because it's understandable. If you're an Arsenal fan, you are going to be worried, aren't you?
you're going to be worried, Paul, and everyone talks about momentum, both at the top of the table and the bottom of the table. Teams who find that little bit of momentum at the right time of the season, it certainly seems that City have. And when you look at the bottom end, you know, Notts Forest and Leeds have started to win a few games, which looks to have moved them clear of relegation. So I think it's going to be, as you say, right to the wire at the very top and at the very bottom of the Premier League this season.
Well, the very, very bottom, it's Wolves, and then there's Burnley, but then it's just above that. Now, this is the worry, isn't it? Well, for me and for you as well. Absolutely. West Ham and Crystal Palace play tonight. Spurs will be desperate for Crystal Palace to win. West Ham definitely need that. They're 1 point above Tottenham, who are currently in that bottom three. And then we've got Nottingham Forest and Leeds that are slightly above that. Now, what do we make about this? Because Crystal Palace, also talk about Crystal Palace because the fact that they're playing in Europe, and they celebrated in Italy the other day. And are we going to see a full-strength Crystal Palace side playing against West Ham? Because they're at home. It looks like they're not going to want to lose, but what do you make on that?
Well, big similarities to Tottenham Hotspur last season in the Europa League. I think, you know, safe in the Premier League in their position, although only just above relegation. Palace are safe in their Premier League position, but seem now to have thrown everything into the Europa League hat, and it's certainly going to be a difficult game, I think, for Palace, just in respect that West Ham are coming. They've got to get a result. They'll be striving for a result. A London derby, we know how competitive they are. So I think everybody else, not only West Ham supporters, but everybody else in that lower regions of the Premier League, going to be looking at that result tonight.
You're going to hate me for asking this. I'm going to do it, though, because you played for Man City. You sort of like Arsenal for a tiny bit, and also Spurs, Palace and West Ham as well. Who wins the title, Clive? I'm sorry to put you on the... But I think it's time to say. So what do you think?
I've been saying for a long time, I think it will be City. I just think that they're capable of having these runs of 10, 11, 12 Premier League victories, and it looks like they're on that run now. They've got 6 games to go. If they win all 6, they win the Premier League.
And finally, one more, and that's just give me a name.
Don't ask me.
I'm not going to ask you. You know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm not even going to dare ask you. I can hear what you're thinking, and I'm going to leave it at that. And we'll just hope that maybe Crystal Palace can pull something out of the bag. That's for Spurs fans, but obviously we've got 2 West Ham fans that are going to join us in just a second.
Well, I just think it's going to be a shootout now between Spurs and West Ham as to who are relegated.
I think so. Clive, thanks very much. Always a pleasure. Have a good day. Vera, I got you out of that there, my friend. I got you out of that one.
Thanks, Clive.
I think we know what Clive was thinking and what I'm worried about. It's either, I think, going to be West Ham or Spurs. So what do you think? Who's it going to be?
Well, I have to say...
Who's going to...
Wait, who's staying up?
Who's going down?
Oh, who's going down? West Ham.
You think West Ham?
Sorry, Dawn.
It looks
Chris.
likely like it's going to be Spurs, unfortunately. That's my call here. The West Ham actually got a better performance over the last few games.
OK, all right.
Well, I know what you're on.
Don't ask these two, though, whatever you do.
I know.
Because you know what they're going to say.
I know what they're going to say.
Yeah.
It's still to come. Well, ahead of what would have been the Queen's 100th birthday, King Charles has been named as royal patron of a new charity in her honour.
Yeah, we're going to get all the details on that with Dawn Neeson and Chris Akabusi up next. Oh, Chris is hiding.
Oh, that's Chris. Chris, where are you?
It's like Hector's house. There's one for the kids. What?
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. Some showers or longer spells of rain across parts of Europe, otherwise mostly sunny, feeling warm in the sunshine too. Some showery outbreaks expected across Italy, parts of Greece and also Albania, but as we move towards central Mediterranean, mostly dry, lots of sunshine. And further out to the west, an area of low pressure will swing in some clouds, some longer spells of rain across Portugal, western parts of Spain, also some showers affecting the Canary Islands, but into next week mostly dry, sunny and feeling warm in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
But in the meantime, a Welsh secondary school is scrapping skirts in the name of equality, with all pupils now required to wear trousers.
They say it saves money and reflects modern values, but some parents call it wasteful, sparking a wider row over gender-neutral uniforms in schools.
Well, in a letter announcing the decision to parents, the school said a single streamlined uniform reduces pressure on families, removes unnecessary distractions and ensures every pupil can feel comfortable and confident. This is a positive step forward for Bryntegg, the school, simpler for parents and carers, more practical for pupils and fully in keeping with inclusive values we stand for.
Oh, just stick your inclusivity, will you? If a girl wants to wear a skirt or a boy wants to wear a skirt for school, let them.
Right, this is the thing.
What's wrong with it?
This is... The thing, they're making this sound like it's a step forward for equality. Girls weren't forbidden from wearing trousers. No. Girls were allowed to wear trousers. Girls had a choice. In the world I grew up in, choice is a good thing.
Ah, not if you're a girl. This is where you went wrong, because you are a boy.
Am I?
So, yeah, well...
Wow. Well, does Keir Starmer think?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
We know what Keir Starmer thinks. But basically, this is done in the name of equality for young women by taking away their right to wear a skirt.
It's completely nuts.
How does that make sense?
The equal thing here is to allow the girls, frankly, all the pupils, to choose. Well, there are no words for this. I don't understand how this is supposed to help anyone. It's going against tradition as well, which is not particularly good.
This is Good Afternoon, Britain. It's GB News.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. We're going through the papers with Dawn Neeson and Chris Akabusi. Morning, you two. There is one story in town, I'm afraid, so we're going to talk about that, aren't we, Dawn?
Yeah. We talk about food. That's much more interesting.
I know. That's what we're chatting about in the break. But we will, I promise, we'll do it by the end of this hour.
Yes.
Should we start with the Prime Minister, his day of judgment?
Only one story in town. Keir Starmer going before the House today to explain what the hell has been going on for the last few weeks. What did he know? When did he know it? Why didn't people tell him anything? He's furious. I'll tell you what, he's not as furious as everybody watching and listening to this programme right now, probably.
No,
this is our Prime Minister, who in theory is putting national security at risk by appointing someone like Peter Mandelson as our ambassador to Washington, when he has links with China and Russia, dodgy mortgage deals, not to mention Jeffrey Epstein. You don't even need... If you need a vetting process to tell you that someone like Peter Mandelson is a bit dodgy, then you're really not fit for the job.
This is at the crux of it, really. This is the problem, right? And but obviously, Dawn, I fundamentally agree with you from start to finish, everything you just said there. However, this is the crux. It's the ministerial code. It is whether or not the Prime Minister actually knew he'd failed this vetting or he didn't. And this is where the wriggle room is for the Prime Minister, because he's going to be, I'm sure, throwing Sir Oliver Robbins under the bus today as he blames it all on him. But there's so many smoking guns here, including David Maddox, who wrote this story 7 months ago.
The Independent.
Yet the smoking gun, where he said he passed it over to the Director of Comms at the time, Tim Allen, and there's no excuse. Someone in number 10 did definitely know.
I mean, if you just cast your mind back to the previous administration and the way this government pilloried and harried Boris Johnson in his government, and for all of the Partygate and whatever it was, and Pincher was it named? Pincher, you know, and they were stunting, and then these guys were going to be the antithesis of this. They were going to be the moral guardians, and we could trust them. And since they've been in the House, it's been nothing but sleaze after sleaze and prevarication after prevarication. And wouldn't it be nice if even if he said, look, I didn't mean to, but I've obviously misled the House, I'm going to fall on my... Wouldn't it be nice just to stand up with moral rectitude and say, you know what, I'm stepping down?
Well, he said he would carry the can for his staff, didn't he?
What? He said what, sorry?
That he'd carry the can for his staff.
Well, yeah, he did infamously before, but when he was fighting to become leader of the Labour Party up against Jeremy Corbyn, he gave a speech saying, basically paraphrasing, but never throw your staff under the bus. I would never do that.
And he never would,
We're up to number 3 already.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's not including all the others. I feel like Sue Gray and the people...
that was before that,
How far back do you want to go? Because the list is pretty long in casualties. And then Angela Rayner put out a very saucy tweet a few years ago saying, how many more civil servants can Boris Johnson throw under the bus? Well, I think Keir Starmer might have actually surpassed him.
Well, you know what, Alex, it's the pure hypocrisy here. You know, when the Conservative government were in power and they were not covering themselves in glory, I think everyone would admit that. Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, they were the very first people to call out that they needed to step down. Amber Rudd did famously step down for inadvertently misleading Parliament. They called for her to do that. Surely now they should be calling for the Prime Minister to do the same thing.
Well, Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham were having late-night talks on Friday night. Don, I don't know if you saw. That's in the day.
Yeah, I know. My favourite part of that story, though, is Andy Burnham rocked up at Angela Rayner. They're both MPs in Manchester, so they evidently have drinks regularly. But he rocked up in disguise, wearing a knotted hanky. There was a picture in what was going on there? He looked like my granddad.
It was a bit...
I mean, I'm sure that there's quite a lot of meetings happening at the moment in the Labour Party. If it's not a case of if, but when, in my humble opinion, and whether it's just after May or towards the end of this administration.
They'll let him be the fall guy for the elections and then someone will take over.
Should we talk about the King? Because he is going to be made a royal patron of a new £40 million charity commemorating the late Queen.
Yeah, I love the story. Our Queen, Elizabeth II, she left us 5 years ago now, and it will be 100... It would have been her 100th birthday tomorrow. And so the King is the patron of the new charity. I love the idea. It's engaged with the community. It's developing, regenerating shared spaces, unused buildings, green spaces, neighbourhood hubs. It's getting... I mean, I think the Queen was a lightning rod for... Also harking back to her mum too, for community activity, getting us all together, you know, unification. So it's great to see that this new charity, the government are going to be putting in the seed funding right at the very beginning, and be a place for people to meet, connect, rejoice and belong. That epitomises the Queen as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. So much has gone horribly wrong since we lost her, hasn't it?
That's
it really has.
And what about this? The MOD has lost track of veterans on the recall list as ex-NATO chief. Another disaster for our poor veterans. Yeah,
this is a shocker for me, being a veteran. So we've lost track of our veterans, and why is it important at the moment? Well, the government need to look for the veterans because we might need them to be called up should things should Ukraine continue as it is. America's minus obviously elsewhere in the Middle East and beyond. But what what annoys me about this is now we're looking for them now in case we require them for active service, and yet we know that our veterans are overrepresented, sleeping under bridges and in the health service, you know, mental health services. So all of a sudden now we need you again. Oh yeah, come on, we're looking for you. Where are you?
Isn't that the story of where we are now, though, Chris? We treat veterans appallingly in this country. As you said, they're highly represented amongst sort of like, you know, the homeless population with drink and drug issues because of what they've been through and because they have so little care. They're the ones sleeping under the bridges. They're the ones sleeping rough. Meanwhile, we have people breaking into this country illegally on the boats in hotels. Make that make sense.
Understood. I can't argue with that one at all.
Dawn, let's have a look at something entirely different, shall we? Disability benefits, but not for what you think.
Well, this is why we were talking about food a little bit in the break, wasn't it? Brace yourselves, folks. The number of people getting disability benefits because of food intolerances has risen by 500% in just 5 years. Claims are even being granted for writer's cramp, tennis elbow and acne. It is...
Acne?
Acne. And they also include payouts for sleep apnea, bedwetting and stress reaction disorders. Stress reaction, I can understand, but writer's cramp? I mean, come on.
How much?
I mean, come on.
How much? Because I get irritable bowel if I eat too much vegetables. Yeah, so it's a bit early for that. So how much can I get from the government?
What?
Where can I sign up?
Well, this is it. It's
We
just
want
like
lactose intolerance.
Exactly.
So sign us up.
let's get some benefits.
Okay, you can get 140. All of you, right? Depending how many you've got. I think you've got quite a few, Alex. You can get £114 a week. There you go.
There you go. But you know what? This is the thing that irritates me.
I can do lactose.
So there are genuine people. There'll be people watching this show that genuinely do need benefits. My grandmother had multiple sclerosis. She really needed it, and her benefits got cut during the Conservative Party's time in office because, of course, we needed some austerity to balance the books. And people who genuinely need it will miss out.
Yeah, well, my friend's got a severely disabled daughter who is doing brilliantly and is an amazing young woman. Her benefits were cut.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this poor little girl, she's in a wheelchair. And we're giving it out for writer's cramp.
I know. Because there will be a government that comes in and goes, this is too much, and everyone gets hit, and that's what worries me.
Yeah.
Chris, just a final story here on the front page of The Sun. Petrol station crime wave, they're reporting. £100 million fill-up and flee theft soar in a fuel crisis. They've been called tank robbers. But, of course, fuel is going to hit an all-time high in the UK. It's going to get worse as this lagging effect of the Strait of Hormuz being closed hits Britain. Do we expect this just to get worse?
100%. I mean, in the end, people are struggling.
Yeah.
People are struggling. You had a previous segment there where they had that house swap. People are struggling, and in the end, your consciousness can be seared when you've got to actually feed your family and feed your children. You know, I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like to be in a scenario where you... we saw it, didn't we, a couple of years ago, where people were heating or eating, and that was the real dilemma for people. I mean, I'm not quite there yet, and I don't want to be. That sounds...
And the thing is, as well, a lot of working-class households, and we were just meeting Val, weren't we, who has £51.95 a week to spend. That wouldn't even get you a tank of petrol. No. And she's a social worker. Like many working-class people, they rely on their cars to get to work.
It is many people that should be paid far more than they actually are. I mean, sort of like the people that really get... You know, nurses, for example. I mean, social workers. I mean, people working in the care industry. One of my best mates is a care worker in a care home. She gets paid a pittance and she works harder than anyone I know.
It's that terrible stuff. Well, look, I mean, the country is in a state, isn't it? And lots of our viewers writing in, agreeing. They're furious today because, of course, while this is all going on, the government's embroiled in yet another scandal.
All right, keep those views coming in. Thank you very much, you two, for your company. Just time to tell you about the Great British Giveaway now. Just 2 weeks left for you to grab your prize, and it's a goodie, isn't it?
It is. 25 grand in tax-free cash, as you know, and a brand new 4-berth camper van. Here's all the details.
There's just 2 weeks remaining to grab your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. Just in time for summer, you could be driving away with your very own 4-berth camper van. This Benny Van 122 could give you the perfect getaway this year, as it comes complete with all of the features you'd expect of a vehicle worth over £67,000. A built-in kitchen and bathroom, dedicated living areas, and panoramic opening rear doors. Plus, you can drive it on your existing license. We'll also give you an incredible £25,000 in tax-free cash. Lines close on the 1st of May, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes are closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, we've got a packed 9 o'clock, haven't we? So don't go anywhere. Former head of MI6, Richard Dearlove, is going to be with us. We're going to be talking about betting with him, aren't we?
We certainly will. And we're finding out exactly how plausible it is that the Prime Minister did not know Mandelson had failed his vetting. That's all coming up
next.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a day of sunshine and showers ahead. Still plenty of warm weather across the south, though feeling that little bit cooler across many eastern areas. And it's quite a chilly start for all out there this morning. A patchy frost in places, some mist and fog, though this should clear away fairly quickly through this morning. And a dry and bright start for many areas. Some fair weather cloud eventually starting to build up, this thick enough to produce some showers by the afternoon. And fairly unsettled across Scotland today with some spells of rain. This could turn a little heavy at times, and even amongst the showers we could potentially see some heavier downpours. But across the south, across Northern Ireland, still mostly dry, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius. Now, to finish off the day across Scotland, fair amount of cloud around, any rain turning more showery in nature, but still could turn a little heavy at times. Some scattered showers across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England still could continue through into this evening, and fairly similar elsewhere across England and Wales. But once again, across the very far south, a dry and fine end to the day, and mostly light winds as well through the course of this evening. Now, there could still be some showers at times, moving their way westwards across the country, perhaps banding together at times as well, just bringing some longer spells of rain. But we'll also see a mixture of some dry spells, some clearer skies. And where we see any prolonged clear skies, that's where, once again, it could turn a bit chilly with a rural frost in places, but perhaps not turning quite as chilly as it did last night. Most towns and cities around the mid-single figures. Now, first thing on Tuesday, we'll still continue to see some showers for a time, but quite a keen easterly breeze starting to pick up. That should move away any showers. And actually, through the course of the day, it should be mostly dry and bright, a return of plenty of sunshine across the country. But in that easterly wind, things will start to feel that bit chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts and across the south, where we could see quite a keen easterly breeze. But in any sheltered spots, once again, feeling warm in the sunshine.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week. Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A985 is closed between Rosyth and Cairneyhill due to a collision. On the M4 eastbound, expect heavy congestion from junction 28 at Tredegar Park to junction 23A at Mega. In Coventry, the M6 northbound has lane closures between junction 2 and junction 3 due to a police incident, with improvements expected after 10 this morning. In Suffolk, the A11 southbound is restricted between the A134 and the A1065 due to a broken down vehicle. And on the trains, the Elizabeth Line and Great Western Railway face disruptions at London Paddington, between Gloucester and Swindon. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
There's just 2 weeks remaining to grab your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. You could be driving away with your very own 4-berth camper van. This Benny Van 122 could give you the perfect getaway this year. We'll also give you an incredible £25,000 in tax-free cash. Lines close on the 1st of May, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister prepares to come out fighting for his political life.
Yes, in a matter of hours, Sir Keir Starmer will address a furious House of Commons.
Well, the shadow of Peter Mandelson looms large over Westminster this morning as Starmer's day of reckoning arrives. Political parties across the spectrum have come out with strong criticisms this morning. We spoke to Lib Dem Cabinet Office spokesperson Lisa Smart and Conservative Party Chairman Kevin Hollinrake.
He has shown catastrophically poor judgment throughout this whole sorry Peter Mandelson scandal.
For the Prime Minister suddenly to say, oh my God, it's everybody else's fault, is ludicrous.
And counter-terror police investigate a series of arson attacks on Jewish communities across London, with concerns Iranian proxies could be responsible. In the last hour or so, a 17-year-old boy and a 19-year-old man have been arrested over the arson attack at Kensington United Synagogue.
A dark day for the United States. The nation's deadliest mass shooting for over 2 years leaves 8 children dead.
In Portsmouth, struggling single mum Val is battling serious debt. Up the coast in Bournemouth, workaholic Steve Bolton is worth millions.
And we've been meeting 2 contestants from Rich House, Poor House, who warm the hearts of the nation with their incredible story.
Already, it's changed my life for the better. You know, Steve and his family, absolutely amazing. You know, just you couldn't have asked for a better family to have swapped with, and you know how involved we are in each other's lives now. It's like a match made in heaven.
Hello there, good morning. A chilly start out there with some mist and fog in places, brightening up today, but also some showers this afternoon. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
Good morning, it's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Good morning. It's just gone 9 o'clock on what is Judgment Day for the Prime Minister.
In a matter of hours, Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, will face Parliament to set the record straight over the vetting process of Peter Mandelson.
But can the Prime Minister cling on to his job? He is, of course, facing mounting pressure to resign amid calls for a Commons inquiry into whether he misled Parliament.
Well, someone who will know a lot about this vetting process is the head of former MI6, Sir Richard Dearlove. Good morning, Sir Richard. Thank you so much for joining us today. Look, the scandal surrounding the Prime Minister is really engulfing everything around the government at the moment. Is it plausible, from your experience in MI6, that nobody knew in Downing Street that this information didn't trickle upwards to the Prime Minister?
Well, let's go back a step. I think the problem ultimately is caused by the Prime Minister choosing an ambassador with a known integrity problem. Everybody understood that about Peter Mandelson, if you look at his past record. I'm not criticising his abilities, but, you know, as the talisman for New Labour, he had a very dodgy series of relationships. We won't go into that. So there should have been, the Prime Minister should have thought through, before announcing the appointment, how he was going to manage that aspect of, you know, choosing Mandelson. But let me just move on now to the whole process of the DV. I cannot believe that a permanent undersecretary, when he got the results of the DV, didn't ring up his minister, who he talks to every day, and say to him, look, Mr. Lammy, Minister, we have a problem. And we have to work out now how we're going to manage that problem. Did Ollie Robbins really take it on himself to not tell anybody and decide, as the permanent undersecretary in the Foreign Office, that the risk was manageable? I mean, whichever way you look at it, it's a mess. It was a bad choice in the first place. It was an appalling choice in the first place. I mean, I said this on the very day the appointment was announced. And I said, you know, this is going to cause the government probably massive problems. So whichever perspective you take, it's really damaging, because it's either a question of judgment or a failure of process, one or the other.
A failure of process, can it? Because the process in itself worked, didn't it? Peter Mandelson failed vetting. He didn't pass. So then you have to believe that Sir Ollie Robbins made that decision in a vacuum, which is very, very difficult for people in the civil service to accept. Yeah, well, look, there is confusion about the results of a vetting process. You do not divulge the detail of the vetting process. That's, you know, verbatim. You can't explain the detail. It's all high confidentiality. But the results of the vetting process, without explanation, are significant. And I just cannot believe that a permanent undersecretary as experienced and able as Ollie Robbins didn't actually say to Lammy, his minister, because that would be the first point at which you'd discuss it, look, he's failed. What are we going to do? Now, Lammy could have said, OK, we can manage the risk. I'll inform the Prime Minister.
There is a discrepancy by what the former Foreign Secretary, now Deputy Prime Minister, had said, of course, because originally he backed this appointment openly, publicly, and then when the appointment went sour, as we've all now famously know or infamously know, the Foreign Secretary said he warned the Prime Minister not to appoint Mandelson. So I don't think... Do you think that the former Foreign Secretary is getting the scrutiny he deserves here?
No, well, because he's the minister. Well, I mean, he would have been the minister to whom the permanent secretary would initially have reported. You don't go over the head of your minister straight to the Prime Minister. The permanent undersecretary of the Foreign Office talks to the Foreign Secretary. But then the Foreign Secretary, I would have thought, should immediately pick the phone up to the Prime Minister and say, look, this is a problem. And I mean, look, there's an additional aspect here. You don't DV ministers, and Mandelson, you know, is a politician coming in from, you know, from a political destination. But on the other hand, he is, you know, a civil servant in one of the most sensitive positions, with access to a huge amount of, you know, very highly restricted information. Oh, gosh, the whole thing is, whichever way you look at it, it's just a complete mess. Well, I'm just going to add to that for our final point. I'm afraid we are running out of time with you, but the front page of the Times this morning is reporting that Peter Mandelson was given approval for the highest security clearance. You'll know more about this than us, Strap 3, which is the highest level of security clearance. Now, he was given that despite failing vetting. Can you explain to us what Strap 3 is? What does that include? And can you believe that he was given that despite failing vetting? Well, you can imagine what Strap 3 might contain. I'm not going to go into detail, but, you know, we have a nuclear deterrent which is dependent on the relationship with the United States. We have intelligence agreements between GCHQ and NSA. My former service has the closest of relationships with CIA. There's a whole load of stuff which is handled at the very highest level. And technically, the ambassador in Washington, you know, sits on top of this hugely complex relationship. It's not just about being ambassador. You know, the special relationship has content. It is, it's more than a phrase. It's a relationship which is institutionalized over many, many years, and it has many, you know, private compartments and rooms which the majority of people, you know, are not allowed to see for obvious reasons. OK. Sir Richard Dearlove, really good to get your perspective and your analysis on the programme. Thank you so much for your time. OK. Many thanks. Good talking.
Thank you indeed. Let's hear now from Secretary of State for Scotland, Douglas Alexander MP, live from Westminster. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Alexander. I'd like to start off, perhaps, with good morning, with a quote from the Prime Minister in March 2022, when he was opposition leader. He said, in regards to what was going on in Downing Street at the time, the ministerial code says that ministers who knowingly mislead the House should resign. Why is he still here? There are only two possible explanations. Either he's trashing the ministerial code, or he's claiming he repeatedly he was lied to by his own advisers and didn't know what was going on in his own house and his own office come off it. Could you just not apply that exact same quote to the Prime Minister?
No, respectfully, you couldn't. The fact is, the Prime Minister is being alleged by the Leader of the Opposition to have knowingly misled Parliament and lied to the public. That is not true, and the Prime Minister will set out why that's not true when he speaks at the dispatch box of the House of Commons just behind me this afternoon. But for that claim to be true would require you to set aside what's a growing body of evidence that would suggest every minister involved in this decision to appoint Peter Mandelson, a growing number of senior civil servants, and indeed the friends and ally of Ollie Robbins, the former Under-Secretary at the Foreign Office, were all part of some grand conspiracy not to tell the truth. It's simply not the case. The fact is there was information in relation to deep vetting that was withheld both from the Foreign Secretary and from the Prime Minister, and he will account for that and explain that breakdown in process when he speaks to the House of Commons today.
People will find it very hard to believe, though, won't they, Douglas Alexander, that the Prime Minister did not ask any questions about the vetting process. This is a man, Peter Mandelson we're talking about now, with a questionable integrity record, sacked twice, dodgy business dealings, a friendship with Epstein that was known about, links with Russia, links with China, so many red flags it was like bunting. And yet we are meant to believe, and you're asking the British public to believe, and you're asking the House later on this afternoon to believe, that our forensic human rights lawyer, Prime Minister, did not want to know the facts, did not want to understand the full sequence of events as to why and how he had passed vetting.
Well, friends and allies of Ollie Robbins, the lead official within the Foreign Office, have been clear that he felt he could not and should not share the information, the recommendation of the vetting agency with the Prime Minister or indeed with other ministers. He'll have the chance to speak to the Foreign Affairs Committee of the House of Commons tomorrow on Tuesday, but there is a consensus that that information was not shared, and I think your viewers will find it perplexing, to put it at its mildest, that if there was information and a recommendation from the vetting agencies, it was not shared with the Prime Minister or with the Foreign Secretary, not just at the time of Peter Mandelson taking up his position as ambassador in Washington, but also subsequent to that when the Prime Minister was speaking about these issues both in Parliament and indeed to the British public.
Mr. Alexander, I'll tell you what our audience is perplexed about. The smoking guns, the constant smoking guns that, as Ellie has just alluded to, the forensic lawyer that is our Prime Minister seemingly missed. David Maddox, the political editor at The Independent, put out a national story, which I'm sure your press team would have read. He also sent a WhatsApp message to your former Director of Communications, Tim Allen. Rachel Gilmore, Liberal Democrat MP in the House of Commons, spoke about this very issue, and that yet the PM says no one in number 10 knew. That is not true, is it? If the Director of Communications knew about this story, why did nobody look into it?
And if you look at the screenshot that David Maddox, who's incidentally a very capable and serious journalist, shared at the weekend, it made clear that Tim Allen, who was then the Director of Communications, went back and said that clearance had been granted under developmental vetting in the appropriate way. That was the position of number 10 at the time, because Ollie Robbins and indeed other officials within the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office had a view that they could not share the recommendation of the vetting agencies, not just with the Foreign Secretary, but indeed with the Prime Minister.
Misled Parliament because he told MPs in September, a day before Lord Mandelson was sacked as US ambassador, the full due process had been followed when he was appointed. Now, The Conservatives and others would say that in that moment, Sir Keir Starmer misled the Commons, and he's therefore broken ministerial code. And he's also broken ministerial code because it also states in the code that you have to correct the record at the earliest opportunity. He was told that Peter Mandelson failed vetting, we're told anyway, he was made aware of this on Tuesday evening. Why didn't he correct the record at PMQs on Wednesday?
So the Conservatives are making wild allegations. That's what opposition parties without much judgment do.
Are they wild allegations?
In terms of when did the Prime Minister find out this information, yes, as I say, there is a growing consensus, including Ollie Robbins' allies and friends, the Cabinet Secretary, the Permanent Secretary in the Cabinet Office, and indeed the Prime Minister and all ministers involved, that the information was not shared by the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, that the recommendation of the vetting agencies had not been followed. That's now an established matter of fact, and yet we saw Kemi Badenoch as recently as Friday allege that the Prime Minister had lied. That's a very serious charge, and one that will be refuted, I believe, very effectively today.
Mr. Alexander, with all due respect, you're not answering Ellie's question.
In terms of when did the Prime Minister find out... I'm just about to. In terms of when did the Prime Minister find out the information, he was notified on Tuesday evening by the Permanent Secretary in the Cabinet Office and the Cabinet Secretary. Present at that initial meeting on Tuesday evening was the Prime Minister's Principal Private Secretary, who took a note of that meeting. In that very meeting, the Prime Minister made clear that he wanted to return to Parliament to set the record clear in terms of what he knew and what he did not know, but that he required the facts in order to be able to do so. Why did he require the facts? Because the very central issue in dispute is whether facts were withheld from the Prime Minister. And I think your viewers would think it reasonable that he immediately commissioned those senior officials to get hold of all the facts, to equip him to be able to go back and answer questions in Parliament. And that's exactly what he'll do this afternoon at the dispatch box.
But Mr. Alexander, the pressing fact is that he knew the ministerial code had been breached at the time and he was aware of the story. That doesn't add up to our audience, unfortunately, and that is the charge here. He could have gone to the House of Commons and said, from what I know so far, I have misled the House, perhaps inadvertently, and I want to correct the record. He had that fact on Tuesday, didn't he?
I think it was perfectly reasonable for the Prime Minister on Tuesday evening, when made aware of this new information, to say we need to get hold of all of the facts in relation to this case.
That's not important when the ministerial code, Mr.
in order that I can go to Parliament and set out the facts. Because Parliament deserves the facts rather than simply allegations. One of the reasons that there is such concern over this controversy is that information was not only not provided to ministers, information therefore was withheld from Parliament. So it is right to obtain the facts in order to be able to inform Parliament of the facts. That is the responsibility of the Prime Minister, and that's exactly what he'll do this afternoon.
Douglas Alexander, thank you so much for joining us this morning on GB News Breakfast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Certainly going to be a difficult day for the Prime Minister.
It certainly is, yes. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, breaking news this morning. A 17-year-old boy and a 19-year-old man have been arrested over the arson attack at Kenton United Synagogue. We're going to have all the details with Mark White next.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, Parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in, the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages. Because the news is going to happen. So get a head start today. Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition. Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mark, what are you doing in the studio? Somebody's stripping off.
He's back. We had a microphone issue. He's back now. Some breaking news to bring you at 20 minutes past 9. A 17-year-old boy and a 19-year-old man have been arrested over the arson attack at Kenton United Synagogue.
Yes, that's after an Islamist group claimed responsibility for an arson attack on the former premises of Jewish Futures, a charity based in Hendon, North London.
Well, let's go through all of the details now as they're emerging with GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White. Morning to you, Mark. What can you tell us?
Well, certainly a development as far as Matt Jukes, the Deputy Assistant Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, is concerned. Going forward, these arrests, a 19 and 17-year-old male arrested late last night on suspicion of carrying out an arson attack at the Kenton Reform Synagogue in Harrow. A petrol bomb, we understand, was thrown through the window internally, caused some damage, not much in the way of damage, but the fact is this is the 6th related attack, we believe, on Jewish related premises in recent weeks. 15 people have been arrested so far in connection with this, and one of the real concerns that the Metropolitan Police have, and they are sort of working along the lines of this particular theory, is that Iran could be involved, that it could be seeking out individuals in this country who are willing effectively to carry out these arson attacks for a sum of money. This is what one of the Met's Deputy Assistant Commissioners, Vicky Evans, said a little earlier.
I've spoken previously about the Iranian regime's use of criminal proxies, and we're considering whether this tactic is being used here in London. This is recruiting violence as a service, and the people who conduct that violence often have little or no allegiance to the cause and are taking quick cash for their crimes.
So the real difficulty, I think, that the Metropolitan Police have here is that if it is Iran that is behind this and they're seeking out individuals, these are people that are not going to be sort of ordinarily linked to the Iranian regime. So it's a bit more difficult then to make that distinctive link back to Iran. And also, while there are unscrupulous individuals willing just to take money to carry out this, it's very difficult to get a handle on it. As I say, 6 incidents so far, and some real concern that although all we've really seen thus far in these arson attacks, the most serious, of course, being that one in recent weeks in Golders Green, where 4 ambulances were burnt out. The others have been all very minor or have haven't really ignited at all. But the real concern is something is going to ignite. It's going to ignite in a premises which is going to be full of people, and we could really be looking at some very significant injuries or worse.
Indeed, yes. Worrying developments in Britain, isn't it, Mark? Thank you so much for joining us. GB News Home and Security Editor there, Mark White.
Britain's Newsroom coming up at 9:30. Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates are here to tell us all about it. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
What have you got for us?
Top interview at the top of the programme. We're talking to David Maddox. He's the independent journalist who spoke to Downing in September and said Manison failed his vetting and was told he hadn't. So what happened to that inquiry after that? Also, we've got a live press conference with Reform at 11 o'clock. They're talking about how they're going to deport 400,000 illegal migrants if they get into power. Good luck with so that. a packed show. And do you think it's acceptable for children to wear tracksuits as school uniform?
No.
No. Andrew's actually wearing tracksuits under the desk. I don't possess a tracksuit. I never have done. I believe that. Ever. To the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a day of sunshine and showers ahead. Still plenty of warm weather across the south, though feeling that little bit cooler across many eastern areas. And it's quite a chilly start for all out there this morning. A patchy frost in places. Some mist and fog, though this should clear away fairly quickly through this morning. And a dry and bright start for many areas. Some fair weather cloud eventually starting to build up. This thick enough to produce some showers by the afternoon. And fairly unsettled across Scotland today with some spells of rain. This could turn a little heavy at times, and even amongst the showers we could potentially see some heavier downpours. But across the south, across Northern Ireland, still mostly dry, highs reaching around 15 degrees Celsius. Now, to finish off the day across Scotland, fair amount of cloud around, any rain turning more showery in nature, but still could turn a little heavy at times. Some scattered showers across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England still could continue through into this evening, and fairly similar elsewhere across England and Wales. But once again, across the very far south, a dry and fine end to the day, and mostly light winds as well through the course of this evening. Now, there could still be some showers at times, moving their way westwards across the country, perhaps banding together at times as well, just bringing some longer spells of rain. But we'll also see a mixture of some dry spells, some clearer skies, and where we see any prolonged clear skies, that's where once again it could turn a bit chilly with a rural frost in places, but perhaps not turning quite as chilly as it did last night. Most towns and cities around the mid-single figures. Now, first thing on Tuesday, we'll still continue to see some showers for a time, but quite a keen easterly breeze starting to pick up. That should move away any showers, and actually through the course of the day it should be mostly dry and bright, a return of plenty of sunshine across the country. But in that easterly wind, things will start to feel that bit chillier, particularly around any eastern coasts and across the south where we could see quite a keen easterly breeze. But in any sheltered spots, once again, feeling warm in the sunshine.
Expect warm spells